All right, we are live. Oh, how's my water? Okay, there's some water in here. Good. Oh, I have to set up the YouTube video. All right, we are live. Oh, how's my water? Okay, there's some water in here. Good. Bro, have you seen Doctor Who? I see what you did there. Darth is live? I'm sure he is. He doesn't dare go on other people's live streams though, because he knows that he'll get like completely obliterated when he doesn't have control of the mic, so no worries, no worries. What should Dr. Blitz fans call themselves? That's a good question, actually. I don't know. I don't know what the right word is. Why not you guys decide? Go to the Discord server and decide. Have you seen Dis? All right, here we are. A live stream is up and running. If you just joined, make sure to, tap the screen if you're watching on TikTok. Like the live if you're watching on YouTube. We can get more people in here. We did just start just a few seconds ago. Did you like Katie Mack's book? I haven't read it. Is this targeting a specific religion or all of them? Any religion with a god that, as generally understood by Westerners to be like a being that created the universe or something like this. In what field did you complete your PhD? In physics. When will you do another stream with Crystal? I don't know, when she invites me next, I guess. Yeah, so by the way, if you didn't know, if you're just joining us and you haven't been in the Discord server, you can find a link to a Discord server both in the link tree in my bio on TikTok. You'll have to copy and paste it into a browser. Clicking the link doesn't work. Or in the description of the YouTube video that you're watching this on. You can see it in both places. Both places are good places to find the Discord server and, get notifications for things like that. For things like this, rather. We stand on the shoulders of monkeys. We do. Yes, we do stand on the shoulders of monkeys. And on, like, little rodent things. Right? Because the first mammal was like a rodent thing. It wasn't like really a rodent, but it was like a rodent. Sorry. Sorry for the yawn. I haven't seen you on Good Troubles live in a long time. He's just live at a bad time for me now that I moved back to the States. Yeah, if you want a link in the YouTube chat, you can type !Discord, and that'll find it for you too. Yeah, so like I just am not, there's not a good time when I can be on other people's lives that's not already occupied. Like, I just don't have a good, there's not good, now that I'm back in the States, the time zone thing isn't in my favor, so I don't really have a whole lot of like good time, like early in the morning or late in the evening when people are alive. People are alive, not alive. People are always alive. Want to see you on the line again? Oh, well, reach out to them, ask, and then they'll reach out to me. Has Blitz ever looked into Inspiring Philosophy's quantum physics argument for God? I think I've heard about it. Generally, I find quantum physics arguments very, very uncompelling. If Jesus lets you ask him an unanswered physics question, what will you ask? I'd ask what quantum gravity is. Have you watched Wes Huff? Only in clips. Can you use a new background? Why would I use a new background? This is recognizable, right? Do monkeys like math? Probably not. Alan, did you really just ask if we're from monkeys and why are there still monkeys? Look, we come from our grandparents. So do our cousins. Our cousins also come from our grandparents. That doesn't mean that we come from our cousins. The monkeys that we come from are not the monkeys that still exist. This is a bad question. Generally, I say that there are no bad questions. That's a bad question. Why can we never catch the transition? Everything that you're looking at is a transition, right? Are you debating theists today? That's the plan anyway. Do you recognize that people hundreds of years from now will still be talking about you? Who knows? I kind of doubt it, but that'd be lovely if true. There's nobody in the guest box. So if you disagree, if you are a theist, if you're a Christian, if you're a Muslim, if you're a Jew, if you're a Hindu, whatever it might be, and you want to come up and try to, yeah, I did just start. If you want to come up and try to convince me to believe in the God that you believe in, feel free to do so. I'm generally pretty good faith. You know, I'll match your energy if you come in hot. We can have a hot conversation, but Jay Dyer shouldn't be recommended by anybody. So debate him. If he wants to come on here, he's more than happy, or he's more than welcome to. All right, let's bring up our first guest. Stick to physics, little bro. First of all, I'm bigger and older than you. Second of all, physics and philosophy have a pretty strong overlap. What do I think of Jay Dyer? I think he's very dumb. Very bad faith. Oh, and they left. You look like someone that would be atheist. Do you mean like 6'8" and married to a 10? Yeah, I do look like that, don't I? All right, let's bring up this person who's talking shit in the comments. Unless they're gonna run. Oh, they're running. That's so sad. Come on, don't run away. An invite has been sent. Zay, you know you want to come up. You've been talking a lot of shit. Talking a lot of shit in the comments. All right, Zay's not coming up because he's a coward. All right, let's talk to Jerry. Jerry, how's it going?
Jerry, how's it going?
Oh, you have some echo. Are you on headphones? Or are you not on headphones?
Are you not on headphones?
Oh, do you hear an echo?
Yeah, there's a lot of echo. Like I can just hear myself.
Oh, shoot. Yeah, I'm not on headphones. I apologize.
It shouldn't. Are you on?
I turned my volume down. Do you still hear yourself?
Yeah, I do. Are you in a car?
No, I'm not. I'm just on my phone. I don't know what's going on. I apologize.
Disconnect and reconnect, and sometimes that fixes it. George, you're talking an awful lot of shit for somebody who's afraid in the comments. There's no way you didn't lose to Jay. I've actually never spoken to Jay. He's just super bad faith. I've seen the debates. Like, he's super bad faith, and he's also kind of dumb. Like, his only argument is tag, but he can never actually substantiate his view, so... Oops, where'd the chat go? Welcome back.
Is it still echoing?
No, it seems to have fixed it, so I think that you're all good. So, you believe in God?
Yeah, I believe that to some extent, like, the universe is God.
The universe is God. Do you think that, whatever your conception of God, do you think that God created the universe?
Well, my perception of God is like, yeah, I believe God created the universe.
And your perception of God is also that God is the universe?
Yeah.
So your understanding is that God created itself?
Correct.
Why do you think that it's possible that a thing can create itself?
Well, you know how when you dream, like in in our lives, you close your eyes and you're in a completely real world. Like to your like in the dream, you think, oh wow, this is so real. But then when you
Yeah.
wake up, you're like, holy shit, it was just a dream.
Yeah.
I think that's to some extent what life is. Like if you look at our neurons, like have you seen how neurons web out? It
I
looks
don't
similar
understand. Are we
to-
talking about life or are we talking about God? I was asking, if the universe is God and God created the universe, how does God create itself?
Well, I was going to explain that. If you look at the human neurons, and then you look at the way the universe webs out, have you seen like the
Yeah,
universe web?
I've seen them both.
It's identical. I believe that we're in many ways encased inside of consciousness, like we are inside of God's mind, and we're essentially dreaming.
That doesn't answer my question, though. You think that God is the universe. You also think that God created the universe, which means that God created itself.
Correct.
How does a thing create itself?
I mean, it's a pretty complex question. I mean, how do we create?
It seems kind of impossible, because in order for something to create itself, it would need to pre-exist itself. But a thing can't exist before it exists.
Explain. I don't understand what you said.
So in order for something to take the action of creation, it has to already exist, right? So a thing cannot create itself, because in order to create itself, it would have already needed to have existed, which means that it didn't create itself.
But you're arguing that God doesn't exist.
Well, I'm an atheist, so I don't think that God exists, right?
Yeah.
I'm asking, the God that you believe in seems completely illogical. It seems like it doesn't make any sense even on the face of it. So why would anyone believe in it?
Well, do you believe that the wherever we are right now is an extremely intelligent design?
No.
Are you familiar with the Fibonacci sequence?
Yes.
And you completely are in disbelief that this is an intelligent design.
Yes. Nobody's presented a good argument that it's intelligently designed.
Well, yeah, I don't know what to tell you, bro.
Okay.
I mean, you seem like a smart individual. Like I couldn't possibly think that you don't see the universe and think it's intelligently designed. I mean, it's pretty.
Do you think I'm
perfect.
lying to you?
No, not at all. I think you actually believe that. But you do seem like a very intelligent person, which is,
I appreciate
from
that.
my standpoint, it's kind of confusing.
I mean, do you understand my confusion about the whole business of a thing seems like it can't create itself?
Yeah, I understand that, but
How do you square that?
I mean, I believe.
By the way, you can be a theist and not believe that the universe is God. If that was the kind of theist that you were, then at least you wouldn't run into this problem of the universe creating itself or God creating itself. Like that seems like a non-starter.
No, I see what you mean. My thing is like I feel like in many ways God kind of reflects within this world, like kind of mirrors within this world what's beyond. And someone asked if like we're in a simulation, and I believe that it's like I explained how we dream in our own lives, how it's a reflection of this waking world.
Okay, well, look, it seems like we're not really going to get anywhere, Jerry, so I'm going to let you go, but thank you for being here. Also, Bean, so Bean can't join, so he gets blocked, or he gets muted. Now, George, you've been talking a lot of shit in the comments. You want to come up and defend your worldview? That's probably a thing that you should do if you're a good Christian, right? George, you have been invited. You have two options here. You can either join, or, because I know you're not busy, I know you're just spamming in the comments, or I'm just going to mute you for the entire live. I can see you clicking reject. I'm going to give you another, say, 10 seconds. 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000, 5, 1,000, 6, 1,000, 7, 1,000, 8, 1,000, 9, 1,000, 10, 1,000. All right. George, you're getting muted. Sorry, bud. All right, let's talk to Josh. Josh, how's it going?
Good. I don't really have a lot to say. I just have to say, I just want to reference what he was saying. I think a lot of people don't think God is a physical being.
I don't think
So-
anybody does, really. I'm not.
Right. So that just I
that's
think
not
that's
the
the answer
claim.
to that question. That he could create a physical being of himself, like for people to be able to
Right, but that's not what he
visualize.
said. So do you think that God created himself?
I think he's forever existing. He's
Okay, do you
omnipresent.
think that God is the universe?
No, I don't believe I believe he created the universe. I believe
Okay.
the same way
Right,
like
so-
someone would create like a matrix.
A little bit more standard theism, which is at least doesn't run into the issue of a thing can't create itself, right?
Yeah, that's all I had to say. I think
okay.
I think there's a lot to. I can't really I'm not like a very smart. I'm not a smart person in any way, so I don't really have much of a science background too. I just wanted to say that.
Okay, you're good. Well, thanks for being here, Josh. I appreciate you.
Yeah, no problem. Have a good day.
All right, let's bring up another guest. Let's talk to the anomaly. The
Howdy.
anomaly, how's it going?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm doing all right. Do you believe in God?
Yeah. I just kind of wanted to know what evidence would you genuinely need to maybe even be a little convinced in some sense?
Really, it could be a whole bunch of things. So, I mean, I'm generally not very open to like the personal experiences of other people, just because
That's fair. That's fair.
it's like when someone tells you about their dream, right? Like you don't care. But like historical evidence can be compelling. Like scientific or like empirical evidence can be compelling. Philosophical or like deductive evidence can be compelling. Yeah, I mean, it's just a matter of whether or not the evidence is actually like good evidence. And, one of the things that you might call good evidence is evidence that can't be accounted for, with alternative worldviews and doesn't invoke more questions to explain it. So like those would be like the kinds of good evidence. Now, examples, if I knew what the good evidence was, I wouldn't be doing these lives, right?
Exactly. For example, like I could tell you all the 500 plus witnesses, or like I can't say that. Like the disciples got unalive, the worst deaths, believing in it. That's still, for some people, that's just not good enough. For me, it's good enough because I go into the philosophical way of understanding this. So I stuck to it. Why not? It also helps me in my life to be a Christian. Me personally, it might not work for everyone else though. But honestly, y'all in the comments, you heard them. Like y'all got to bring that for real. So I appreciate you for having me on, though. Y'all better bring some good evidence for this man, because he got a point. He got a point.
All right, thanks for
Take it
being
easy,
here,
boss.
the anomaly. Take care. All right, let's bring up another guest. Let's talk to IYB Josh. Josh, how's it going?
Hello. I have no disagreements. I just want to say I love you.
Well, thanks, man. Let's talk to Ian Fisher. Ian, you should debate Jay Dyer. He's on TikTok. Then he should come on here. I'd be happy to talk to him. I'm pretty good faith. Ian, how's it going?
Hey, how's it going, buddy? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Do you believe in God?
Listen, I just want to say, brother, Lost Lands is in 2 weeks. I'm going to be at the creator stage, absolutely losing my mind.
No free clout. No free clout. I don't know what that was, but no free clout. Jay Shep, how's it going?
It's going good, man. How are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. Do you believe in God?
I do, but I don't want to debate or anything. I was just kind of curious on your perspective. Like, how do you think, like the whole, like how we came, like, do you believe in anything besides a higher power, or do you have like I don't know, like a
I'm some kind of naturalist. So like I think that like the things that happen in our universe are explainable via some sort of natural process.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. I can totally see that. But keep killing it, man. You have a good Thursday.
All right, take care. Thanks. All right, let's talk to Thomas, VA.
Hello?
Hello, Thomas. Are you an orthobro?
No.
Oh, okay. Do you believe in God?
Yeah, I'm a Catholic, bro. So
Catholic. That's right. The yellow flag is Catholic. I always forget. Yeah. So go ahead.
yeah, the way I'm going to prove like God's existence is simply going to be like they're like Aristotle's argument or St. Thomas's first way, right?
Yeah, go ahead.
Are you aware of it?
I'm sure I've heard it, but I don't remember which ones are which. So lay out the argument. We can talk about it.
All right. So the what was it? So for any potential which is actualized, right, there needs to be some sort of external agent who's in a state of actuality to actualize it. Under a hierarchical causal series, this like cannot lead back to infinity. So this must lead back to a first cause, and this first cause is going to be God. If you want me to show you how this first cause is going to be God, I can like. Demonstrate that.
Do you want to just? So I'll just write those down. I wasn't sure if it was going to be there were going to be premises, but it sounds like there was. So why not just give it to me again, and I'll write them down. How about that?
Okay.
So the first premise is.
For any potential which is actualized, right, there needs to be some sort of external agent who's in a state of actuality. So, like for example, the reason why like I don't know, cold air actualizes the potential for like a hot coffee to be cold itself is because it itself.
So we can talk about the premises in a minute. I just want to write them down just so I can look at them in full.
These are the premises.
So for any potential which is actualized, there needs to be some sort of agent that is in the state of actuality to actualize it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what's premise 2?
Yeah, premise 2 is that there are potentials which are actualized in the world. Right?
Okay, and what's premise 3? Or is that it?
Premise 3, under a hierarchical causal series, cannot lead back to infinity. Premise 5, a hierarchical causal series does exist. Conclusion, there must be a first cause.
Sorry, what was the conclusion?
There must be a first cause.
Okay, right, so I take issue with this question of, or with the whole notion of like potentialities existing. Why should I believe that that's true?
Do you believe in logical possibilities?
I think that there are things that are logically possible, sure.
Okay, so you agree that like, what was it? That like theoretically you can slap me, but you're not, right?
Do you mean, is it logically possible or physically possible?
Either or.
Well, I mean, it seems like it's neither right now because we're not in the same place.
Logically possible. Do you know what logical possibilities are?
Yeah. But one of the requirements for me to slap you is for us to be in the same location. And considering we are not in the same location, it's not logically possible for me to slap you, right?
I don't think you know how logical possibilities work. A logical possibility is going to be something which has like no.
I can demonstrate a contradiction from the view that you and I are in different places, and that I'm slapping you, right? Those are logically contradictory. If I'm slapping you, or if I'm slapping you, then you and I are in the same location. You and I are not in the same location, therefore I'm not slapping you. So it's not logically possible that I'm slapping you.
I'll just give another example.
Sure.
Example. So do you have like, what was it? Can you like turn off your computer?
Am I able to in the future? Sure.
Well, you can do it right now.
Yeah, sure.
Present, right?
Yeah, I could do it. I could do it right now.
Yeah, by potentiality, like all I mean by potentiality is just like something that can happen or something that can be, right? But it's not.
So do you just mean the? Is this like an epistemic claim or is this like an ontological thing?
It's a metaphysical claim.
So do you think that potentialities have ontological status or are they epistemic?
What do you mean by ontological status?
Do you think that there is a sense in which potentialities exist, or do you think that potentialities are just like kind of a state of our knowledge of the world?
Potentiality. I would say potentialities exist.
Okay, in what sense?
What do you mean in what sense?
Because when you ask, can you turn off your computer, that is an epistemic thing. That's like, given my knowledge of the world, I understand, or I think that it's possible that I could do that. That's like an epistemic thing. If you're saying that there is this abstract notion of like the potential of me turning off the computer, I don't know why I should think that that's true.
Well, my entire point is that there are things which can be, right, which are not, right, and this is all.
There are things that can be which are not. But again, it can be. So So, but can be is a statement about epistemics, right? It's a statement about the way that we understand how the world might be given our current knowledge. It's not it's not like about a thing that exists, right? Like the potentialities are epistemic things. They're not like they don't have ontological status, at least not in like the way that you're describing.
Wait, hold on. If like, what was it? When we say like this thing or that thing, right? This is in regards to like, what was it, ontology or metaphysics. So like when I say that, like, wait, hold on. Like when I say that, like, can you turn off your computer, right? This is in reference to like your computer's like existence, right? This is in reference to your like.
Wait, so when you ask, can I turn off my computer? What you're asking is, do I think it's possible in the future for this action to take place?
Yeah, but it's also in regards to the subject, right? So it does regard metaphysics.
What's in regard to the subject?
The computer and you.
I don't see how it is. I mean, like, the question requires that the subject, the question, in order for the question to make sense, it requires that the computer and I both exist, sure. But moreover, but the whole notion of potentiality, it seems like it's just predicated on what my understanding of what the future will be like.
Wait, hold on. Even if, okay, wait, I don't understand how, like, what was it? Like, I don't know. I don't understand how your like use of epistemology like refutes the like ontological existence of potencies. Because
because you haven't given any reason for me to think that potency has an ontological status. I will grant that it has epistemic value, it has epistemic status, that it is a concept that we can use to evaluate our understanding of the world, but I don't think that it exists in any ontological sense.
Do you agree that like metaphysical possibilities exist?
Metaphysical possibilities exist in what sense? Are we talking about like possible worlds, that kind of stuff?
Okay, do you agree? Okay, do you know what metaphysical possibilities are?
I have one conception of it, but I suspect that it's not your conception. So can you elaborate on what you mean by it?
By metaphysical possibilities, I just mean like things which are possible in like our world.
So you mean other possible worlds?
No. Okay,
you mean possible worlds in the sense of like, you know, the way that we use possible and necessary and so on.
Under like, okay, by metaphysical, let me elaborate. By metaphysical possibility, I just mean like, given like set of conditions, like these things which are possible. So it's like metaphysically impossible for you to like slap me, right? What was it? Or like for you to like, I don't know, go to Russia in one day, right? That's all.
You're talking about logical impossibilities.
I would say these things are logically possible. There's like, what was it? There's no like internal contradiction with these. But
wait a minute. So perhaps it's, I mean, like, to be clear, it is logically possible that I could go to Russia in one day, right? Like I could hop on a plane or whatever. But perhaps it's a bad example. There are things that are logically possible that are physically impossible. There are things that are physically possible and logically possible. There are things that are physically impossible and logically impossible. I don't know what you mean by metaphysical possibility.
Okay. What's your conception of like a physical impossibility? What do you
something
mean by
that would break something that would break laws of physics or laws of nature.
Yeah, sure. I'll just like, take your definition then, right? But the point that like I'm trying to make, right, is that like physical things have like can be but they're not, right? Like your computer can
physical things can be but they're not.
Yeah, like for example, what was it?
When we use language of like can be, that's like a statement about our knowledge of the future, right? That's an epistemic statement. I don't know where the ontology comes in about this like potency.
Yeah, because your computer can be like something else. Like I don't understand how your usage of medicine.
That's an epistemic claim that it could be something else, is saying that, oh well, given my knowledge of it now, there is a way that I understand the world could be in the future.
I don't really get how your like usage of metaphysics like just refutes the notion of potencies, because if you realize if you reject
I'm not even really invoking metaphysics here. I'm just trying to understand why I should think that potencies even exist.
If you deny that potencies exist, right, then you only like then you're gonna necessarily have to admit that only actualities exist, and if only actualities exist, then like change is impossible.
What my view of change is, well, like I don't take an a theory view of time, so I take it to be the case that change is just a description of the different state of affairs at different time slices.
Okay, if you hold that, what I'm sorry, give me your theory of change.
Yeah, that change is just a description of the different states of affairs at different time slices in the universe.
Can you elaborate more? I don't really get that.
Yeah, so if each moment of time is like a slice of bread, then I would take change to just be the descriptions of the different slices of bread.
Okay, so would you agree that like in the cases of like slices of bread, right?
Mhm.
What was it? It went from not being sliced to being sliced, right?
No, so I don't think that you're understanding. So in this view, the universe, space-time as a whole is like a loaf of bread, and each slice of the loaf of bread, each, you know, infinitesimally thin slice is a moment of time. It's not literally it's not literally bread that needs to be sliced. It's a metaphor.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I have like a hard time.
Are you familiar with like the B theory of time or like eternalism or block universe? Have you heard of that?
I'm familiar with it, but I like, what was it? I know of it, but I'm not. What was it? To me, like B theory is just like everything in time exists simultaneously, and like.
Well, it doesn't exist simultaneously. It's that it's equally real.
Okay.
Every moment of time is equally real.
I know of time B theory. I just don't like understand it then.
Yeah, so under that view, change is not something that happens. Change is a description of the differences between different time slices.
Okay. Okay, would you say that like, what was it? Yeah, I mean, the reason why like potencies like ought to be the case, right? Again, is simply because like these physical things can be other physical things, right? So like
these physical things can be other physical things.
Like a trash bag can be like ripped up, right? Or like.
But again, like you keep using the word canon. That just sounds like you're talking about like our understanding of the way the world might be in the future.
You can say, hold on. You can say it's an epistemological claim, but I don't see how that negates. Like, I don't see how that negates my argument for potentialities.
Oh, so if we are willing, if we're happy to say that potentials are like, you know, concepts that kind of exist in the mind, and they're like it's about epistemics, and they don't have their own ontology, then I would just say the statement, there are potentials which are actualized in the world. I mean, either potentials, either potencies are like epistemic things, or they have ontological status.
Yeah, I'm saying they have ontological status, right? Because ontological things, can be other things, but they're not other things, right? And this is just all what we mean by potencies. Like I don't see how your like usage of epistemics.
So look, what kind of ontological objects do you think that potencies are? Are they physical objects? Are they like Platonic, like abstract objects? What are they? What kind of ontology do they have?
What do you mean? Can you like?
Yeah, so like classically, like there are perhaps three different kinds of ontologies. There are physical material ontological statuses, like, you know, a rock has like a physical ontology. Then there might be like abstract, like sort of Platonic ontology, and so you'd say like the number 2 has like, if you're a Platonist, the number 2 has like an abstract ontology. And then you might say that if you're an idealist or a dualist, you might say that the mind is like a third category of ontology, that like minds are not abstract, they're not physical, they're like some third category of thing. So which category would potencies fall into?
Yeah, I'm like agnostic on that. I don't know.
If you can't even tell me what kind of ontology it is, I don't know how you can say that you know that they have ontology to begin with.
Yeah, I can say they have ontology to begin with because these like things which exist, right? These different ontologies can be other ontologies, but they're not, right? And this is all
they can't like you keep, so it sounds like the ontology that you want to describe this is like some sort of conceptual thing.
You can say it's like epistemics, right? But the point is that by virtue of it being in reference to like by virtue of it like being the way, what I'm saying is that these like ontological things again can be other ontological things, and this entails that potency like ontologically exists.
No, it doesn't entail anything about the ontological status of potency.
Yeah, because if it was lacking, then this would mean that like if it lacks, right? If it was lacking, then this would mean that then these things couldn't be other things, right?
No, something doesn't need to have ontological status in order for it to be a useful description of the world.
A useful description of the world?
Yeah. Like I mean, if you're not a Platonist, if you're like a nominalist like I am, and you think that numbers are just like concepts that exist in the mind, You can still say that numbers are a totally good and useful description of, like, you know, counting things, a good way to count things, for example, without requiring that numbers exist outside of, like, some, you know, mental conception. Similarly, you could say that potency is, like, a useful conception to, like, think about things in the world, to try to, like, make sense of the world around us, without requiring that that potency has some sort of separate ontological status.
So, so wait, just to be clear, like,
The incredulous laughter is not a good look for you, by the way, considering you're getting philosophically steamrolled right now.
what was it? I'm not being, like, vicious or unfaithful.
No, but you are the giggling is not a good look. Anyway, go ahead.
The giggling is not out of like something like out of unfaithfulness or uncharity. It's just, like, surprising that someone would deny the existence of potency. It's out of that, right? So just to be clear, like, from the beginning of this conversation, you just, like, deny that potency just exists at all.
Yeah, I don't think that potency has any ontological status. I think it's, like, a useful way to think about the world, but I don't think it's, like, a real thing.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think then, like, we're gonna get very far, because what was it? So, like, how would you respond to, like, the contingency argument then? Not to, like,
Which one?
commit a red herring, but the
There's
contingency argument.
there's a lot of different contingency arguments, right?
Yeah, it's the one that, like, what was it? The one that I remember is who mentioned me? Okay. The one that I remember is basically, like, contingent things exist, right? If only contingent things existed, then this would mean that nothing would exist. So therefore, like, there has to be, like, some sort of necessary cause.
Sorry, I don't understand. If only contingent things existed, that would mean that nothing exists. How does that follow?
I actually don't know myself. That's, like, what was it? That's, like, one of my issues with, like, the contingency argument.
So I think generally the statement is that I think that generally the contingency argument, the one that you're referring to, is something like, you know, premise 1, there exist contingent things. Premise 2, contingent things require an explanation, which is either necessary or contingent. Premise 3, if all contingent things have contingent explanations, and you have an infinite chain or a circular chain of contingent explanations, those are impossible. So premise 4, it requires a necessary explanation, and that necessary explanation then is God, something like that, right?
How is it? Yeah, but wait, how would it be circular? I don't get that.
Well, so you could have, like, A is explained by B, which is explained by C, which is explained by A. And then the people, like, there are roughly 3 categories of explanations. There's something called Agrippa's trilemma, which is that explanations either terminate in some foundation, they infinitely regress, or they form a cycle. And so, you know, the contingency argument basically says, as far as the explanation for contingent things being, they say that, well, you rule out the infinite chain of explanation, you rule out the infinite or the cycle of explanation, therefore you're left with the foundational explanation, which is necessary. That's at least how the usual argument goes.
Why would the theist have? Wait, what's, like, the theist's argument in this, like, case for, like, negating, like, an infinite chain of, like, contingency, like, contingent things? Like, how would they negate it?
They usually just appeal to, like, you know, if you haven't, they usually, I mean, to be honest, I don't think that there is really good justification, but generally the theist will say something like, well, if you have an infinite chain of explanation, then you're not explaining anything at all. That's, like, the kind of, and like, I am sympathetic to that view. Like, there is a sense in which, like, if you have an infinite chain of explanation, then you don't really understand why the thing is the case to begin with, because you don't understand the full chain, because you can't. But I think that ending at a foundational thing is also not very well described either, so.
Yeah, okay. Well, overall, I think it was, like, at least some sort of a decent discussion. I admit I didn't perform well, but I'm gonna go now. God bless. Bye-bye.
All right, take care, bud.
Bye-bye.
You know what? I was actually meaner than him than was required. I think I interpreted that laughter as like incredulous laughter rather than nervous laughter, and I suspect he was just nervous. So if he's still here, I apologize for, you know, calling you out and, you know, giving you what I thought you deserved. I think that you may have just been nervous, so that's my bad. All right, let's talk to somebody. Raven, can you hear me? Can you hear me, Raven?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. Do you believe in God?
Yes, I do.
Okay, and just so I can like, you know, figure out where you stand, which God is it? Is it like, are you Christian? Are you Muslim? Are you Hindu?
Christian.
Okay, so what would you say is the most compelling argument you could give me that would make me think that Christianity is correct?
Fantastic. Now, I was listening earlier, and I believe that we're both on the same page when it comes to the conceptualization of our numerical system, not only, but our language. It's merely a bridge to help us as humans who are of a lower level comprehend and understand our environment. We're on the same page there, right?
I don't know what you mean by lower level, but like, yeah, like language, numbers, these are things that I think that we use, that we developed to better understand the world around us.
I mean, fair. Okay, so we're on the same page there. Let's see. I'm going to start off with I believe there were 19 or 21 martyrs. It was back in 2019. Most of them were Egyptian. I believe one was Syrian, but they were actually martyred by a group offset from ISIS. Do you remember that story? It's actually a documentary on it.
No, I don't.
Well, that's pretty much the premise of it. There were, like I said, between 19 and 21, all of them were workers out of Egypt. They were captured by ISIS. Most of them were Christian except for one, and they were martyred for their
When you say martyred, were they like
beliefs.
given a trial and then
Now,
they were executed because they didn't have the chance to like?
Questions. I've had my.
Well, wait a minute, hold on. I just have to make sense of this. So, would you say that like when you said that they were martyred, was this like, you know, they refused to give up their belief and so they were executed because of it, like that kind of thing, or like is this just like they were captured by ISIS and they were Christians, so they were killed?
100%.
Okay, so
That's
like
the first explanation there.
Oh, they were given like a trial and they had like all of these like
Go
they
ahead.
had the chance to recant and stuff.
I wouldn't exactly call it a trial, but you could call it that. I mean, when it comes to ISIS and their radical beliefs there, I believe they were given an opportunity to convert to Islam, and then once they refused, that was that. It was execution.
Okay. All right. So what does this have to do with God existing?
I'm getting there. Sorry, it's a slow burn. So, in my questions, when it comes to the reality and the existence of God, I've thought about that. And from an outside perspective, it could seem somewhat foolish. I mean, thinking about it, these men that were killed for their beliefs, they had no solid evidence. All they had was faith. And that is, in the end, what they clung to and why they were martyred.
Raven, is
But
your
they were
argument
not the only martyr.
is your argument that people have died for Christianity and therefore it is unlikely that Christianity is false?
Somewhat. There is more to it than that, but
Okay,
yes, that's the
so
general principle.
if that's the general principle, then you would have to also agree that Islam is true because there are people who have died for Islam. You would have to also agree that like the Jonestown massacre was based on a real religion because people died for Jones, whatever Jim Jones or whatever his name was, that he was actually a prophet because people died for that.
Right.
People have died for Mormonism, but they can't all be true, which means that the fact that people have died for beliefs is not particularly compelling evidence that the beliefs are true.
Well, it's not entirely the martyrdom. It is.
Okay, so then what's
like
the
I
rest
said,
of
it's
the
a slow
argument?
burn. I'm getting there.
Well, you know, land the plane.
Very well. There were, I believe, 11 disciples out of the 13 that were also martyred. Now, like I was saying, when it comes to these Egyptian gentlemen, none of them had any solid concrete evidence. All they had was faith. But when it came to the 13 disciples, obviously, Judas, straight out the bat, I believe it was very soon after Christ was crucified that Judas killed himself, which leaves 12 disciples. If I'm not mistaken, 11 of them were martyred. 10 or 11. I'm not quite for certain on that.
So Raven,
But these men did.
the historical evidence that we have regarding the martyrdom of the disciples is very, very, very lacking. We have extra biblical sources that like one and maybe two of them were martyred, and that's it. The rest is church tradition. Like it's just like what people in the church have believed, that like this is like actually what happened, but we don't have any evidence to think that it did happen. So
Well, then that's my argument there. Thanks for your time, I guess.
all right, well, thanks for being here, Raven. Take care. Oh, we got a $1 super chat from, sorry, this isn't $1, this is one Russian, or not Russian, one R dollar, which I don't know what that stands for. By the way, if you guys want to support the chat or want to support the live stream, there are a few ways to do it. I have a Buy Me a Coffee app on the link tree in my bio. I have a Cash App somewhere. There's links to it in various places. And then super chats are also, of course, welcome. All right, let's bring on the next guest. Let's talk to the Dirty Ramen. There we go. Martyrdom is a good word, yeah.
Hey, Blitz, I just want
Ramen, how's it going?
Hey, man, I just want to say you rule. You're my favorite TikToker.
I appreciate you.
Hope you have a good day.
All right, take care. It's 1 Robux. There you go. Snork, how's it going?
It's going great. How are you?
I'm doing all right. Do you believe in God?
No.
Okay. Thanks for
I
being
just
here.
want
Cashadoris, how's it going?
I'm good, man.
Do you believe in God?
Yeah.
Okay. And which one, just so I can make sure that we're on the same page?
The Christian one.
Okay. What would you say is the most compelling argument you could offer me that would make me think Christianity is true?
The existence of consciousness.
Sorry, one more time. You're a little bit quiet.
I said the existence of consciousness.
The existence of consciousness. Okay, so I agree that humans have conscious experience. How does that get us to Christianity?
Because, like, I don't think there's any physical explanation for qualia.
Suppose that's true. How does that get us to Christianity?
Well, it doesn't get you to Christianity. That's something you choose yourself. It gets you to believing that there's something transcendent.
Okay, how does it get us to God at all? Not even Christianity.
It doesn't really.
So then why'd you bring it up? I thought you were going to offer me an argument that is compelling to make me believe that Christianity is true.
Well, like, how do you think consciousness exists?
I don't know. I want to think that it arises via like complex natural processes, but you know, I could be wrong about that.
Okay. Well, then I don't think I have another argument.
Okay. It's just to be clear, you didn't have an argument to begin with, right? Like, you didn't make an argument for God, for God existing. Shane, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing all right. Do you believe in God?
I do. Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior.
Okay. And what would you say is the most compelling argument that you could offer me that would convince me that that's true? That that's correct?
Christianity.
So what's the argument?
You can track Christianity all the way back to the birth of Jesus, the crucifixion of Jesus, and the preaching and teaching and the spreading of the gospel.
Yeah, so like I agree. Christianity is about 2,000, you know, give or take, maybe 1,900 years old. How does that mean it's true?
You can track it physically.
You can. I agree. Christianity is a real religion that really started like 1,900 years ago or so. How does that mean it's true?
Well, because Jesus is the truth, and the only thing that people try to cover up is the truth.
Hold on, just to be clear. Why should I think that Jesus is the truth?
So, if Jesus Christ is the Son of God, and Satan was here on earth at the same time, right, according to the Bible, and Satan is the nemesis, and he's trying to stop God because he wants to live forever and be that way, then after Jesus came and saved us from our humanly sins, then what would be the one thing Satan would want to do after that happened? Well, that would be to stop the spread of the gospel, but there has to be a pure, real divinity behind that gospel if you look at how far Christianity has
Right.
reached.
But
You
so
have
to be
Islam
clear,
that is
the whole
only
the
in
whole
Islam.
premise of this argument is if Jesus was really the Son of God. Well, I don't think he was. So the whole rest of the argument's irrelevant. I don't think that Jesus was the Son of God. So why would I think that any of the rest? Why would I think that Satan is real? Why would I think that Why would I think that Satan is real? Why would I think that any of this is true?
Because
If I
of
don't think that,
Christianity.
but I don't think. I don't know if you're not getting it, but I don't believe Christianity is true.
Well, you're not getting the truth.
So
I have it.
So presumably
I've
you came
tracked
to
it.
give me an argument or to convince me that
I
it
did.
is true. But the argument you said is if Jesus is the Son of God, then a whole bunch of other things. But that's fine.
Okay.
It might be the case that if Jesus were the Son of God, those other things would be true. But
No, he
I don't
is
think
the
that
Son of
Jesus is. I don't think that Jesus is the Son of God. So that's the thing you have to convince me
Well,
of.
he is though, because he brought
That's
division
the
to
thing
the
you.
world. With
That's the thing you have to
different
convince me of.
denominations of the churches, right? So that came true. If you
So
look
wait
at
a minute.
prophecy, it comes
Hold on.
true.
So
And then
sorry.
also
What's
he
the
told
what's the
us about
argument?
you.
What's the
That
argument? How do
knowledge
you?
would increase, and you
What's the
wouldn't
argument
listen
here?
to
How do you
sound
know
gospel.
that? How do you know that Jesus is the Son of God? What's the argument for that?
Christianity proves that.
Christianity relies on the statement. It can't prove it because it relies on the
no,
statement
the
that
only
Christianity
reason
is
you're
that Jesus is the Son of God. Hey Shane,
behind
Shane, really quick,
Jesus is
really
because
quick, Shane,
Christians
really quick,
spread it
Shane,
to
Shane, really
America.
quick, Shane, really quick. Can you not like cut me off in the middle of my sentences? That'd be like really good. I'd really appreciate that. Oh, where'd he go? All right, I guess he's not coming back. Let's bring up another guest. Oh, we have some super chats to read. Thank you guys for being generous. I appreciate it. So we have $5 from Super Pizza. Here's my coffee. I'm trying to quit caffeine. That's fair. I'm not anymore. From 1-800-EUROPA with the $2. Damn, the arguments are lacking today. They really are. From Kane Mouse with the $5. Damn it, Blitz, get the calculating. I will. Let's bring up oh, by the way, Proud. So there's somebody who's currently in the queue on YouTube. If you are going to be on YouTube, you have to show your face. Otherwise, otherwise I'm not going to bring you up because I have some trolls who like to come in and just shout slurs and dox people. So you have to show your face. Otherwise, I'm not going to bring you up. Let's talk to A5H. A5H, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing all right. Are you over 18?
I'm 18.
What year were you born?
07.
Okay. And do you believe in God?
Not really.
Okay, well, thanks for being here. Let's talk to Quinn Loves God. Oh, it's Ash. Quinn, how's it going?
How's it going, bro?
It's going all right. Do you believe in God?
Yes, I do. I'm a Christian.
Okay. I should have guessed. And what would you say is the most compelling argument you could offer me to convince me that Christianity is true?
I can say Christianity is true because we're all sinners and we sinned. We all fallen short, and that He sent His only begotten Son to save us, save humanity.
So Quinn, so I'm familiar with what. Sorry, I'm familiar with what Christianity is. I want you to give me an argument that it's true.
That God's real.
Yeah. Give me an argument for that. Why should I believe that that's true?
Because He gives you life.
If I don't think that God is real, I also don't think that He gives me life. So
Right. Okay.
why should I think that that's the case?
Okay. Well, my question is, what's the purpose of life? What do you?
I think that generally speaking, we set our own purposes.
Really?
Yep. Are you driving?
I am driving. Is that bad?
Yeah, it's TikTok TOS. You can't be on a live stream and also driving. For those who are waiting in the YouTube Video Ninja waiting queue, the reason I have a rule of you have to show your face, otherwise I won't bring you on, is because if you don't, then I have no way to know that you're not going to be a troll who will, because I know what my trolls look like. There's no way for me to know that you won't be a troll and you won't just start shouting slurs, start doxing, and so on and so forth. So that's why there's that rule. Let's bring up Cyrus. Cyrus, how's it going?
It's going good, man.
Glad to hear
well,
it.
there's just a little bit of contradictions. You know, I've been listening and I'm really passive aggressive, you know. I'm a big believer myself, you know, but I mean, not everybody has to be, you know. But one thing you did say, like, it's only like 1,900 years old. Well, if you go back and you look at the King James Bible and when it was made, how it was made, why it was made way longer than that ago, and it was transferred.
Cyrus, the King James Bible was done in like the 1500s or something.
Yeah.
I think it was like 1611. The King James Bible is only like 400 years old.
All right, but if you look, that's what I'm saying. You didn't give me a chance to finish. The original Bible that everybody had been reading before that was in Hebrew.
Well,
so they translated
not the Christian Bible.
The King James. No, that's what I'm saying. The Christian Bible.
No, the Christian Bible is like maybe 1,700 years old, maybe 1,800 if you're being generous.
But look at
the Jewish Bible is around 2,500 years old. The Christian Bible, though, is around 1,800 years old. It's about 700 years newer.
I mean, another thing is my fellow Muslims. I mean, the whole book of the Torah, all that right there is books of the first Bible, and that's supposedly the oldest religious book known to mankind.
Well, it's not. The Quran is not the oldest. Are you confused? Cyrus, so the Quran was written. The Quran was written like 1,400 years ago.
Where's the facts to say this though? Like you're just saying it like
because the Quran was dictated by Muhammad, and we know what years Muhammad lived. Muhammad lived from 600 something. Let's just find out what year he was born. He was born in 570 CE and died in 632 CE. So Muhammad lived about 1,400 years ago. He couldn't, considering that he was the one who dictated the Quran couldn't be older than he is.
I mean, if you go back and look, I mean,
I just did.
Older books found.
So the Bhagavad Gita is very, very old. Various parts of the Hebrew Bible are very, very old, older than the Christian Bible. What's your point?
I mean, like none of this is like originally getting to how he's real and stuff like that. Like I'm nobody to tell you like why he is real and why you should believe in him. You know, like in my honest opinion, like, you know, none of that really matters. It's just the fact you take the whole experience and you say, oh well, it's only 1,400 years old. Well,
I didn't say only. That just is how old it is. What? Like, why is this relevant?
Okay. Thought they found that they had put over Jesus, and they just said like, I mean, you could go look that up too. They just said the cloth was real, and it was from that time period.
Yes, I'm familiar. I'm familiar with the paper. The paper is very sketchy to say the least.
And bro, my grandfather was a preacher. And he woke up next to his wife and said, "It's my time to go." You know, he said, "It's my time. I'm gonna lay down. I just want you to know everything's okay." He lay down. The following morning, he died.
That's actually fairly common.
Yeah, this is all just, you know.
But so wait a minute. Just to be clear, are any of these going to be arguments for why I should think Christianity is true?
It's really it's a conversation about. It's really how you're gonna argue argument. It's really a debate because I'm not.
Yes, that's what I'm asking for. I'm asking for a debate. I'm asking for evidence. I'm asking for, you know, deductive reasoning. I'm not asking for like random stories from your life and random historical facts.
Not real. Yeah, give me some of your evidence.
I'm an atheist, so I don't believe in God. The prompt is, can you convince me to believe in your God? Presumably, you read the prompt and you thought, huh, maybe I can convince him to believe in Jesus. And
No,
so I would
started off-
expect that
don't
you would
wanna-
have
I
brought some sort of
started
argument.
I don't want to tell you why he is real. I'm just telling you, brother.
You don't?
Like,
Okay.
You say you're an atheist?
Bye. You don't want to tell me? Okay. Then it doesn't seem like you're interested in doing what the prompt says. So, all right, let's bring up a guest from YouTube or from TikTok, and then we'll move back to YouTube and vice versa. Greg, how's it going?
Hey, can you hear me?
I can. Do you believe in God?
Yes, I do.
Okay, and which one, just so I know we're on the same page?
The Christian God.
Okay, great. And what would you say is the most compelling argument you could offer me that would convince me Christianity is true?
Okay, so what I'm gonna tell you is, obviously, like, the miracles there in the Bible, right? I can't prove that to you because that happened a long time ago. I can't prove it to you, but I'm gonna try and give you, an example from more like something that we can prove around our time. Okay.
Sure.
Okay, so are you familiar with Tim Tebow, the football player?
Nope.
Okay, so Tim Tebow was an NFL quarterback who sorry. So his mother told him, or the doctors told his mother to abort him, right, for the sake of her own life, right? And basically she denied them and so went on with the birth, and he was born and everyone survived. And that's not it though. That's not it. But basically, so that's one part of it, which I think obviously like God brought him into this life for a reason, right? But then, so
well, that's the claim, right? But go ahead.
Sorry, I'm a little, like, my throat hurts. But so basically what happened was he played in a playoff game in the NFL, right? And he was known for promoting the gospel, right? He shared the gospel.
Sure.
And so are you familiar with the verse John 3:16?
I don't know it off the top of my head, but I know of John, and I know it has verses, and 3:16 is one of them. So
Yeah,
I
so
can go read it if
basically,
you
like,
want.
yeah, the premise of it.
Yeah, so I pulled it up. It's the King James Version is, "For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life." Sure, that's John 3:16. Okay, go ahead.
So I would agree that is for Christianity, that's a very important verse, right? Because it's telling them that, right? Okay, basically, so playoff game, right? They upset the Steelers, and the statistics of the game were he threw for 316 yards. His the rating of the game was 31.6, I think. The people saw it, and I think that is like,
Sorry,
obviously,
when you minimize the app, I can't hear anything you say. So when you minimize the app just now and you were still talking, I couldn't hear anything.
Oh, okay, my fault. Sorry. Let me try and
So
say
go
that
ahead.
again. 316 yards. The time of possession was 31 minutes and 6 seconds. Ratings were 31.6. Basically, all going.
Yeah, there were a lot of 3 1s and 6s. Sure.
Yes, which
Okay.
obviously it can be chance, right? Like we can't knock that off, but I'm saying that is a very strong argument because
Is
you
it?
know that, I mean, it could be like.
So I mean, like, suppose for a moment that I mean, I'm just gonna trust the numbers that you gave me. Fine.
Yeah, I mean, you could search it up.
So
but like,
I don't think you're lying to me. So the argument that you're trying to make, it sounds like, is you're trying to say, look, like, the odds of this happening is small, therefore it means that it's if it's unlikely to be a natural explanation, then it's more likely to be a divine explanation. But the question is,
sort
you
of,
can
yes.
only establish that once you have the priors for both natural and supernatural explanations, right?
Yeah.
So maybe we say that, you know, on the face of it, we expect things that happen in a football game to be like 99.99999% of the time to be purely naturally driven, right?
Okay.
I mean, like you know, maybe occasionally you have, maybe you have some bias that you think that occasionally divine intervention happens, but like the vast majority of things that happen in football games are going to just be like because of the players, because of the physics of the football, whatever.
Yeah, of course.
So if we say that that's our prior, then that means that our prior for the explanation for a supernatural thing happening in a football game is way, 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 way low. So it's just a question of how much do those shift those numbers? And really, it seems like if your view is that natural explanations are just always, just from the get-go, are more likely than supernatural explanations, then it seems like we just don't really have a good reason to, like, suppose that this is very, very unlikely. Yeah. That doesn't mean that God is more likely, right?
Yes. Okay, so
it just means that something it could just mean that something rare happened, which, you know, does happen occasionally, right?
I'm assuming, because like I'm not okay. So like you're saying you're an atheist, right? I'm assuming that means that you just like don't have any evidence that's working for you, so you choose to not follow it, right? Like basically that's what you mean, right?
Yeah,
like
generally, yeah. Well, I also think that there's good I think that there are compelling arguments to think that no God can exist, including the Christian God. So like it kind of goes both ways. Like I haven't seen particularly compelling evidence that a God is real. I also can't see. I also do have at least evidence that's compelling to me that God isn't real.
Got you. Yeah, because what was I gonna say? Yeah, so I guess like the only wall that I see here is that basically if God is this uncaused cause, right, that is like supernatural, right?
Mm-hmm.
He wouldn't be explainable because he wouldn't like work in our human brains in the sense that like what do you call it, in our sorry, I'm blanking right now, but like we're not able to understand a being like that in our reality because it doesn't work for us, right? Does that make sense?
So you're saying that like we wouldn't have a way to like understand it. But if
yeah, unless he full on revealed himself, right?
But he did do that, so why doesn't he just do that?
Well, but like that's the thing is I'm saying he did, and then it's being orally translated over time.
No, but why did he do it 2,000 years ago when nobody had smartphones?
You're saying why did he do it not when people have smartphones?
Yeah, why did he do it when people have to rely on oral tradition in order to learn about it and believe it?
I think honestly the best explanation for that would be that God's timing is perfect and he did it at that time for a reason, maybe because the people at that time needed it more than ever, and that
so he could do it again though, right?
I mean, he could.
Why don't he just do it now in the age of the smartphone?
You know, that
it would bring more people to him,
I feel like,
right?
I will say that's a great question that I think that even like maybe some Christians wonder, right? But like at the end of the day, we can't question the creator, right? Like
why not?
Because he obviously created it. He knows what he's doing. I can't really tell him what to do. Like,
I mean, does he really know what he's doing though? Like, I mean, there are a lot of questions that we can ask that are super reasonable.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, the go-to one is like, you know, if you had a big red button in front of you and you pushed the button and it got rid of all of the cancer in the world, would you push it?
Well, obviously I would push it, but what if God isn't the one who created cancer? Like,
well, no,
but if that is,
but if God had that button in front of him, would he push it?
I'd have to think about it. I need to like understand like how that would work, like in like the biblical sense, but like there's probably an answer that
well, the answer is no. I mean, like he evidently wouldn't push it because he does have the button in front of him, right?
Already is what you're saying.
Or he would right now. So
yeah. So
the fact that you would and he wouldn't, that should, and he's supposed to be the one that's like all good and perfectly loving and all of these things. That brings up a really good question. Like, why is it that he's not willing to do something that everybody on earth agrees would be a good thing to do?
You know, the cancer thing, all right. Well, yes, cancer is horrible and it kills people that, you know,
like a million people a year or something like this.
Yeah. And like no, this is definitely a tough one, but like, I mean, there are some people that like believe that cancer, right, like to one of the like best. Okay, I
Sorry,
don't have
10 million
any
people a year, not 1 million. My bad.
Okay. So like when we're talking about cancer, right? Like a lot of people, what they use chemo, right?
Yep.
Okay, I would say that I don't have the scientific evidence for this right here, but what I'm trying to say is I don't think chemo is the best way to cure cancer. I think that
I mean, it works. Like it
works.
I mean, like chemotherapy, and then there are a few other treatments like surgery and radiation. These are like the 3 standard treatments for cancer. And the reason why they're the standard treatments for cancer is because they seem to be the most effective.
I would wonder, okay, and this is just a wonder, but I would wonder if fasting would be more actually beneficial than these things.
I mean, you could go look up studies on this. I would imagine that you would find that it wouldn't be.
Are you sure?
Yeah, 100%. In fact, let's go look. Effects of fasting on cancer. This is from the NIH. It was published 3 years ago. A narrative review of scientific evidence. Emerging evidence suggests that fasting could play a key role in cancer treatment by fostering conditions that limit cancer cells' adaptability, survival, and growth. Fasting could increase the effectiveness of cancer treatments and limit adverse effects. Yet, we lack an integrated mechanistic model for how these two complicated systems interact, limiting our ability to understand, prevent, and treat cancer using fasting. Here we review recent findings at the interface of oncology and fasting metabolism with an emphasis on human clinical studies of intermittent fasting. We recommend combining prolonged periodic fasting with a standard conventional therapeutic approach to promote cancer-free survival, treatment efficacy, and reduce side effects in cancer patients. So it sounds like what they're saying is that fasting can be helpful when combined with standard conventional therapeutic approaches.
Okay, I understand now. And then last thing I want to ask you, obviously, you're a doctor, right? Like,
I'm not a physician.
physics?
I have a PhD in physics. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, that's what I meant, like a doctor in
Yeah.
physics, right? So like obviously like you're pretty like well like known with like physics and like science and stuff like that. I was just gonna ask you, is there anything in physics or science that disproves God totally?
There are different things that disprove different gods. So for example, if you believe in a god that is the cause of, or that if you believe in Zeus and you think that lightning is caused by Zeus throwing lightning bolts from on top of a mountain, then yeah, physics obviously disproves that because we know how lightning works, and it's not that.
Yeah.
But if you're talking about like some very abstract metaphysical thing that like doesn't directly affect the world, then no, they're just separate worlds.
Can I make it simpler? Like basically, so like we're a creation, right? Like I'm saying that we're a creation. Someone that created us and like put us on this earth, is that disprovable by science?
Something that created us? Well, considering we know how humans got on the earth via evolution, yeah, in some sense.
And what's this scientific research for that? It's like bacteria, right? They believe that we were bacteria that
well, we weren't, but like our ancestors were 4 billion years ago.
That's what I'm saying. Like for example, like the first ever human to live on this earth.
Yeah,
right?
so the first ever human was like 300,000 years ago ish. And we know what their parents were. Their parents weren't God. Their parents were, members of the genus Homo.
The genus Homo, what is that?
So like we're Homo sapiens, right?
Yeah.
So
yes.
our species is Homo sapien, but there's also Homo erectus, Homo habilis, depending on who you ask, Homo neanderthalis. There's a whole bunch of different species of the genus Homo, and our ancestors, the first modern humans, Homo sapien, arose around 300,000 years ago, and their ancestors would have been Homo habilis, which is, kind of like the previous stage in human evolution, which is just a different kind of, different species of being.
And because this would have been so long ago, correct? How are they able to prove this?
Fossil evidence and genetics.
Fossil evidence and genetics. So they're like 100% certain this is how.
Well, they're as certain as like you ever are in science, right? Like, maybe the sun won't rise tomorrow, but we're like pretty certain that the sun will because of gravity and stuff.
The way science works is like one thing could be like what we teach, and then the next day it could be actually a completely different thing.
It's not really how it works, and I think you'd be hard pressed to find me any examples in the hard sciences of this being the case.
I guess like the only thing that I've heard of would be the Earth being like round. Like I've heard that like back then.
So,
scientists believed
so
it
just to be
wasn't
clear,
round,
there weren't public schools when people thought the Earth was flat.
Okay.
There weren't textbooks. People thought the Earth was flat over 2,000 years ago. People have known it's round since then. Since before Jesus.
Understood. All right. So I guess like my first argument, right, which was like the Tim Tebow one, right? Like I guess the way you're saying is that it can still be natural. Is that what
I mean,
was your...
surely it can be. And if your view, like my view on the world is that like we have so much evidence that like the laws of physics are never broken. And it seems like in order for a miracle to occur, you have to have some sort of divine intervention, which would require the laws of physics to be broken. It seems like we just have like overwhelming amounts of evidence that like anything that happens in like the natural world has a natural cause.
So the thing about the doctors being wrong, right? Let's talk about that. Is that how does that work? Why are
Which
they wrong?
doctors?
The doctors that said his mom would die and that she needs to go.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know the story.
So
it could even not be true. Like I don't know what the story is with the pregnancy. I don't know who the doctors were. I mean, maybe the doctors were just incorrect. Sometimes that happens. Sometimes medical doctors are wrong about things. Like, okay, so I'm just looking at the Wikipedia article. So the medications used to treat Pamela caused a severe placental abruption. Doctors expected a stillbirth and recommended an abortion, which was illegal in the Philippines, even in severe cases. They decided against it. And then it doesn't say anything else about that. So yeah, like I mean, you know, maybe they recommended an abortion and then the doctors because the doctors expected something and their expectation was wrong. Like that happens sometimes.
Okay. Yeah, no, I can understand that. Okay. And then I guess like the process of the human body, right? Like it's super like everything has to work perfectly, right? Like humans.
I mean, not really. Like you can remove a kidney and you'll be okay. You could have like a defective kidney and you'll be fine.
There's like certain like things that like even though us humans are like so unique, we all need like the same stuff to live. Like,
well,
like
yeah,
sorry, I don't
like we need a heart, sure.
Yeah, but like stuff like that, and like I also think about like how like I don't know if this is true. You could correct me on this because obviously you would know, but like when we're taught in school, right? Like let's say like the sun was to be like a little bit this way, right? Like we'd be like dead. Stuff like that. Like that's pretty like fine.
Wait, what does that have to do with the human body?
Oh no, I'm giving a totally different thing.
Okay, we're okay. Yeah. So that is a unfortunate false narrative that people believe for reasons that are unknown to me why people believe them. Yeah, I mean the Earth moves 3 million miles closer to the sun every year. Like it's in the winter, it's 3 million miles closer to the sun than it is in the summer. So like it's not like if the Earth moved just a tiny bit, then you know no life would exist. Like the Earth can change its position by 3 million miles, and we just call that a season. Actually, it doesn't even affect the amount of the heat of the Earth, for that matter.
Yeah, and then like I guess like I'll probably leave you with like one more thing because like we're not really going much here, but like obviously like Christianity is a faith. It requires faith, so it's like sometimes you don't need evidence to have faith, but like obviously you want evidence, so I'm trying my best to give you evidence. So
and I appreciate it.
I guess have you heard of the Shroud of Turin?
I have, and my understanding is that it was carbon dated to around the 1300s, and the first historical evidence that we have of the Shroud of Turin is in the 1300s when Pope Pius, I think it was, heard about the Shroud of Turin and then went and found the guy who made the Shroud of Turin in the 1300s.
So you're saying it's man-made?
Yeah, I mean, like, you think it's man-made too, but like, I think it's a forgery or an art piece, perhaps. I mean, like, yeah, like the historical record is that, you know, if you trust historical records, which you have to if you believe in Christianity, then like why wouldn't you believe why wouldn't you believe the Pope when he says, yeah, we found the guy who made it? But that's what he said. That's what the Pope said. It was the French Pope, because at that time they had two popes, but
yeah, got you.
Because this was during the Pope Wars or something like this. But yeah, like this is just like they found the guy. Like we know who made it. Well, we don't, because they didn't write his name. But the it was the Bishop of it wasn't the Pope. It was a Bishop of Troyes, who's in France, who identified the artist who made it.
Got you.
And like that's in the historical record.
Where's this at? You just searched it up like on the...
So it's on the Shroud of Turin Wikipedia page, but you can find it in like books, in like real books. There's good references for it.
Yeah. I actually do have one more thing. Sorry.
Yeah, sure.
If you'll allow me, but so Jesus, right? This is going back to like miracles, right? So basically, there were non-Christian authors, right? So people in like that area, right? That was like ruled by the Romans, but there was like Jewish people, right? Like the Talmud and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like they were accusing him of using either sorcery or black magic. I don't know what that means to them back then, but
yeah. So I mean, people at the time believed in like sorcery and magic and witchcraft and stuff, and they heard about a guy who was doing miracles, and they're like, oh well, he must be doing sorcery. Right.
Yeah.
They believed in that stuff back then. That doesn't mean that that's actually what they were doing, but that's what they heard about this guy who, people claimed that he did miracles, so they're going to accuse him of witchcraft, right?
So they heard about him doing miracles.
Well, so the people who were writing the Talmud almost certainly weren't alive at the time, because the Talmud was compiled over a few hundred years. And we could even go look up who was who the authors were, like who the rabbis were that were talking about this, and we could go find it. But like, yeah, the discussions about Jesus, this wasn't about people. This wasn't written by people who were alive at the time.
Got you. All right. Well, thank you for your time. I'll let you go to.
Thanks for being here, Greg.
But yeah.
Take care. All right. I'm going to bring up another guest from YouTube. I just got to make sure I got to look over the super chats because we got a few. From Asira Akira, thank you for becoming a subscriber or a member on YouTube. I appreciate that. And from Fears Interaction, we have $10. Thank you for your generosity so much. God, sorry, starving kids, no food for you. But check out this sweet football player. Yeah, fair point. From Grimlock with the $5. Now I have to hydrate. FYI, Vlad the Impaler was known for spreading the gospel. So, fair. From Asira, again with the $2. I would like to debate with you next, please. I don't know where they are. From Kane Malice with the $5. Guy claims God is real because the final football scored match John 3:16. Not a miracle, just divine scoreboard management. Amen, I guess. Fair. From Merlin with the $5. I'm agnostic. I would argue that atheism is just as ignorant as any religion. Would I be able to join its opposition? No, because the question is can you convince me to believe in your God? But if you're an agnostic, you don't believe in a God. And then from PKS with the $5, something distinguishes the concept human beside the symbol applied by anthropologists to divide the first human from its parents. Oh, yeah, no. What is human is a very gray question. All right. Let's bring up Jacob. I think Jacob's next. Jacob, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
I can. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How's your day been?
Just starting. Anyway, do you believe in God?
I do. Anyway, so I wanted to just kind of reaffirm with you about your current belief system. So if you had to position yourself right now, you said you're atheist, which is the belief of absence of God. And I'm assuming with your PhD in physics, you believe in the Big Bang Theory, the conception of the universe through the Big Bang and the prior events to the Big Bang. Is that an accurate staple of what you currently believe in?
Sure.
Okay, so just to kind of touch on that, before we dive into a specific God, because I'll go into that in a moment with you, I just want to establish kind of a baseline. So,
sure.
As we dive into the Big Bang Theory and we start to dive into the conceptualization of what the universe is, the actual entanglement of what is matter, what is the elements of space and Earth and other planets around the galaxies and the ever-expanding universe, I want to kind of touch on what you think could create the Big Bang. So a lot of people think, science can explain it all, and I myself believe in science fully, and I think science and religion go hand in hand when it comes in terms of the creation of the universe.
Yeah, so I'm pretty agnostic about the cause of the expansion. I know that there's probably literally dozens, perhaps even hundreds of hypotheses that have been put forward to explain the expansion of the universe, to explain what the state was 13.8-ish billion years ago, whether or not that was genuinely an initial state, or whether it was just a, one particular state in a sequence of many states. Generally, I'm pretty agnostic about it.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to believe similar to you in terms of the sense of like I don't know, maybe you believe similar along this lines in terms of like the expanding and collapsing universe is like an infinite cycle that could essentially go on for perpetuity. Like it could just always go on forever.
That seems at least possible. That seems at least possible. I haven't ruled it out yet.
Yeah, so that's something I would definitely align myself with in terms of like beliefs. But where I kind of become more religious about it would be to the extent of even remaining agnostic to, you can't attune a specific God to it, giving the credit to some type of external factor, an external factor of that greatest sense of which would connect itself to the universe in that form through the Abrahamic religion is in of itself the actual representation of God. So when we look and take a deeper dive into what the Abrahamic religions are, right, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, right, we look and the kind of social interpretation of God is an old man with a beard in the sky. But when you actually read the text, so you start with the Talmud, you start with the Torah, you move into the New Testament, and then obviously the Quran. When you move into these aspects, you see the actual perception of God through these religions in real practice as the universe in of itself. So I think when you characterize God as a old white man in the sky with a big beard who is
I'm not characterizing God that way, by the way.
No, I know. I don't mean to put. And when I say you, I don't mean to say you in that sense. I
okay,
mean,
but
in terms of
so like, look, it sounds like you're saying that even if the universe has always existed, you're proposing that there still is a God that actualized it or something like this. I just don't see why I should think that that's the case.
Okay, so in terms of like, okay, when we look at, okay, well, let me ask you this. Why would you consider it not to be the case of some type of divine intervention to spark plug the initialization of the universe and the events prior to the Big Bang?
Well, if the universe has always existed, then there was no initialization, right?
So in that term, though, of infinity, that is God, right? So like when you look at the Abrahamic,
I don't think that that's true. I mean, God is an entity that's separate from the universe, right?
No. So
I mean, literally Genesis 1 verse 2, it says God hovered over the spirit or the waters of the deep or something like this. God is a separate entity. God isn't the waters of the deep. God is a separate entity that shaped the universe or something like this.
Well, so if you want to talk about like the Genesis aspect of like talking about the waters and the deep, of course. God, I mean,
like I'm just talking about like the traditional Abrahamic view. The traditional Abrahamic view is that God is a separate entity from the universe. If you're taking like a pantheistic view that God is the universe, that's a separate view. It's just not compatible with Christianity, really.
No, so Christianity is, I'm not arguing from the point of Christianity.
It's not compatible with theism either.
Well, it is though. So like when you look at like monotheism and you look at the aspects of actual deities through the lens of Islam, right, which is the angle I would be arguing for today would be through Islam. God in that religion, right, is not characterized as a man. It is not characterized. It is characterized as a spiritual entity that is the universe of itself. The characterization.
You're telling me that in the Quran, it explicitly says that God is the universe?
If you look at Al-Fatiha, you look at the first surah, it talks about in the very first surah, the very first.
What's the verse number? I can't hear you for some reason. Where'd your audio go? Testing.
Maybe when I click out of the tab, you're not able to hear.
Yeah, it seems that way. Oh, that's weird though. Okay. I should be able to. So I'm looking at the first surah. I want to look at the whole. Yeah, so there's only 7 verses, and nowhere does it say. I don't speak Arabic, of course, but it says, I see things like Lord of all the worlds. I see things like Master of the Day of Judgment. So
in
I don't see anything where it says anything about Go
So
ahead.
here's the problem when we go through like translational issues, and like that's why I don't typically ever argue like characterization. So like when we go through the Gospels and stuff like that, like there was a 200-year gap between actually like fully conceptualizing the current state of the New Testament. So that I throw out, as well as even like a lot of like the Quran.
Well, I'm looking at like 3 different translations simultaneously, and they're all like, you know, King of the World or Lord of the Worlds or whatever. But so was there a specific verse you were referring to when you say that, when it says that God is the universe? Or God is the world?
Yeah, Lord of the Worlds. Like the world isn't Earth. It isn't planets. It's the universe. It's the
Yeah, no, I
Arabic
understand that.
expression.
Being Lord of the universe, I understand that. Like when the world is referred to in Scripture, they're referring to the universe, not like the planet Earth. But being Lord of the universe is not the same as being the universe.
So in terms of like how we actually conceptualize like human literature versus like actual events that you could say transpired, from my point of view, I would say they transpired. From your point of view, if you're agnostic or atheist, you would say that they didn't or that you don't know. So when we look at like human literature and how we explain that through translation, it can become slightly different.
Okay, but your claim was that in Islam,
What I would argue,
but your claim was that in Islam, God is the universe, right? Was that your claim?
That's what they believe in Arabic. Like in the actual Arabic translations of the Quran, it is universe, not world.
No. But it's Lord of the universe, not God is the universe. There's a word specifically that it's the no, it's not. If a king is a king of a country, the king is not the country.
Yes, but we're talking about deity. A deity is much different than like a humanization of an aspect. A deity is when the representation of the universe and saying the Lord of the universe.
We can just shortcut this. If you think that the universe is God, do you think that God created the universe?
I think it's one and the same in that aspect. I think that's where my argument would fall.
So you do not believe that God created the universe?
I believe that God is the universe.
Okay. Do you believe that God created the universe?
Yeah, it's one and the same. It's here's the fallacy, right?
So
like,
wait, so you said yes, God did create the universe?
So and this is what I want to explain. Like, so here's the humanization aspect. We believe like the chicken and egg aspect of like the chicken can't create the chicken and the chicken has to create the egg. So like there has to be someone to create the universe, and then that would be the God that created the universe.
In the Quran, it explicitly says, referring to Allah, it explicitly says, we built the universe with great might. It explicitly says that that God built the universe.
Of course.
So it seems like you have to believe that God created the universe. Like that is scripturally required.
Is the universe. God is the universe.
Okay, but that's not what it says. It says God created the universe.
Yeah, of course. God, in terms of the Islamic teaching, right. God
created the universe. So God created the universe. You also believe that God is the universe. Therefore, God created itself.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that your view? Now, how does the thing create itself?
That's the fallacy, right? So we fall into the fallacy.
How is this? This is a question. It can't be a fallacy. It's a question.
Well, this is religion, right? Is when you end up in a situation where it's like the chicken and the egg, right? Like the chicken can't create the chicken has to create the egg, then the egg creates the chicken.
Right. So the question is, I mean, like, look, you can have an infinite regress of thing created by thing created by thing. That's like, if you want that, that's fine. You can have a thing that was uncreated that created another thing, but you're saying that a thing created itself, and I think that that's just incoherent. I mean, in order for a thing to create itself, it must already exist to do the creating, but that means that it didn't create itself because it already existed.
So, okay, and I understand what you're saying. So my conception of God then would be that God in of itself is the consciousness of the universe to create itself. So
things can't create themselves, though. That's the point.
Okay, well, I mean, in theory, when you're looking at like the Big Bang, okay, let's regress it to like even the point. We're not going to go beyond the Big Bang because it would just be pure speculation of what was after or before the Big Bang. But yeah, we have an absolute infinity ball of energy that explodes out into an infinite space of the universe. Okay. That would be in terms of the consciousness of God, right? So you have the consciousness of God in this little ball. It's not everything. It's not the universe already. It is this energy, or it is this conceptualized divinity, and then it would explode.
Okay, so God isn't the universe then? Because the universe is like the sum of all things that make up physical reality, right?
Here's the thing. God is conceptualized as infinite, right? So infinite power, infinite knowledge, infinite this and that, right? So when you have an infinite amount of energy or power, and then it makes the conscious decision with the ability to make conscious decisions to expand and create. So do you understand what I'm saying or trying to get at least?
I think it's, I understand the words you're saying, and I understand the sentences you're saying, but it just sounds like you're contradicting what you said earlier.
Which was what?
That God is the universe. Not that God is like the, you know, the driving force that causes all things to happen in the universe, but that God is the universe. Is what you said.
Yeah, so I would agree. And we're gonna go. Maybe we can take a different turn because I think we're stalled on that point. Well, maybe we can take a slightly different turn in terms of like what you were talking about a little bit earlier. And I'm willing to concede that point. As I said, like I think it's like, as you said, it's an infinite regression point where we're just gonna kind of go back and forth. I'm gonna be like this, and this, and you're gonna say that. So I think in
that's
terms
not what
of
I meant. But okay, that's fine. Go ahead.
So sorry, my apologies. What I would kind of argue then is like, let's go back to kind of what you were talking to a little bit about earlier about like probability in terms of like when the guy was talking about like the football game or like cancer, people dying of cancer, argument, which was like, oh, if God had a button, which in theory he would have a button, right? Or the ability to take away all of the illness of the world, all of the illness, all of the plague, the wars, stuff like that. Why wouldn't he do that?
Right.
I believe that was your argument. If you wanted to expand slightly on that before
I mean, I was specifically asking about cancer. I wasn't asking about war. I wasn't asking about plague and all that. I was specifically asking about cancer for a very specific reason.
Okay. So, I mean, that's a great question. I mean, it's an awesome point to drive into. So if there is a divine entity in which rules the universe, right, why wouldn't he take away cancer, for instance? Okay,
why wouldn't he hit the button? Yeah.
Pardon me?
Well, so to be clear, if there's a divine being that controls the universe that has the button but just doesn't care about human misery, then I can understand why this divine being wouldn't push the button. And so in Islam, it's not actually clear to me, I've spoken with a lot of Muslims, in Islam it's not actually clear to me that God is described as being benevolent, like maximally loving, in which case the problem of evil might not be a problem for you. Now, there is a statement about God being perfect justice or something like this, right? One of the 99 names.
All merciful, right? All merciful.
And so one could argue that you know, you would expect an all merciful being to cure suffering children of cancer. That would be very merciful, and you would expect an all merciful being to be more merciful than even very merciful. So
right,
it just depends on your conception of God. If you think that God is the kind of being that doesn't want humans to suffer, then you would expect this God to push the button.
Great. So I totally understand. And so like there's kind of 2 points that go along with that. The first being is that we'll dive into the second one, sorry, but the first one is that there's going to be the aspect of the afterlife. The all mercifulness described in Allah is the afterlife. Is Jannah, the all just, the justification of your life is the afterlife. One who is pure of sin regardless of the, sorry?
Now, so, and I've had this conversation with other people before, but you take God to also be perfectly just, like all just?
In the afterlife.
So not all, but you mean with regards to like what happens to people after they die?
Exactly.
And you also take God to be all merciful.
In the afterlife.
When you say in the afterlife, do you mean like after people have already reached the afterlife and they've already either gotten to heaven, or I know that there is an equivalent of hell in Islam. It's just not called that.
So the way to believe it is this. So your time on earth is essentially a playground. Right, and I'll make it easier for your viewers as well to kind of understand, but I'm sure you'll pick up on.
No. So sorry. So the point I was getting at is like I just need a clarification. When does this all justice, all mercifulness apply? Does it only happen after people have been separated into their divine afterlives, or does it happen at the moment of death when somebody is being judged?
Well, okay. So the moment of judgment only happens. It happens simultaneously to everyone. Everyone is currently in purgatory through the Islamic belief. No one is in heaven right now. No normal mortal human being is in heaven right now. No mortal human is in hell right now in terms of the Islamic belief. There is Judgment Day, and that is when every soul is judged.
Right. So on Judgment Day, will God be all merciful and all just, maximally merciful?
There's all mercifulness in terms of repentance through your life. All just through the afterlife.
So God is not merciful on the day of judgment.
He is all just on the day of judgment,
but not merciful.
He is all merciful in your life.
Wait, so you're not answering the question. Is he all merciful on the day of judgment?
No.
Okay, so then God changes?
Why does that have to change? It's two different things. It's
so today It's not Judgment Day yet, right? Today, God is all merciful, right? You know, whenever Judgment Day comes, God will no longer be all merciful. He will not be all merciful on Judgment Day, is what
Because
you
you've
said.
had your chance at redemption.
Right. But he won't be all. Sure, but that just means that his properties are changing over time.
Well, no, it's not at all. So let me explain this in a little bit easier. Okay, so I go out and I kill someone tomorrow, or I do wrong to someone tomorrow. Okay, God is going to be merciful until the day I die. I have the day I die to make it up to that person. So in the Islamic belief, the way to repentance is you have to get forgiveness from that person. You have to go make repentance to that person, offer acts of good to that person, offer acts of charity. And if that person doesn't accept your apology, but you have absolutely done what you can to redeem yourself, then you will have mercy in terms of when you get judged. If you do not make repentance, if you do not go out and do your best, you do not do charity, you do not do the things that are expected of you, then he will be just, because your actions justify.
So then he's not. So he's not being merciful then.
He's being merciful on earth. He is giving you the opportunity.
But then he's wait. So would you say that the quality is like all just, all merciful, all knowing, all powerful? Would you say that these qualities are unchanging qualities of God?
What, the being just and merciful are
and
unchanging?
All powerful and all knowing. That these would you say that these are like definite? That these are defining properties of God?
Sure. Yeah.
If they are defining properties of God, it seems incoherent for you to tell me that God can behave in ways that are not all merciful or not all just, depending on when it is, without changing.
When
that seems incoherent.
It's not merciful. I was giving someone an opportunity to redeem themselves in their current life, in this trial.
It's not merciful during Judgment Day, right?
It's just in
right, but it's not merciful. So he is not simultaneous. He is not all knowing, or he is not all merciful on Judgment Day.
Like in terms of like the belief of God to the Islamic view, it's not changing. You have redemption.
No, I mean it is changing. Like on Judgment Day, he's not all merciful.
It's not changing.
We're describing a change. The property of God is changing at different times. That's a change.
I know, but it's not Christianity where it's just like
I'm not talking about Christianity. I'm not talking about Christianity. This is about Allah. This is about Islam.
What I want to do is just fulfill my argument, like to get to the end point. So like what I mean by it's not Christianity is it's not you believe in Jesus, all your sins are forgiven, you repent to a priest and you get cleansed.
Irrelevant.
You're forgiven. You only have in earth to repent. You only have while your heart still pumps on earth to repent, to make amends.
I understand. I know that you've been saying that. I understand. Go ahead.
When you die, at the very end, when you die, you've had your chance for mercy to redeem yourself, and now you will be judged on this ending part. At the end of your life, you will now be judged.
So Jacob, just to be clear, by the way, that's identical to Christianity, by the way. That is identical to Christianity. You have your entire life to accept Jesus, and then you're judged. Then you're judged after you die. But anyway, you're not getting it. You're not getting my criticism. You're not getting my criticism. The criticism is that if God has the property of being all merciful, and then on a particular day he's not all merciful, then it seems like that property is changing.
It's not though, because he's giving you the chance.
Yeah, in the past, not on Judgment Day.
On Judgment Day, he is just. He is serving justice.
I understand. You're saying, well, on Judgment Day, he's just, and during your life, he's merciful. But that just means that he's not merciful on Judgment Day, and he's not just during your life.
No, he is just during your life, and he's merciful during your life.
You can't be both. You can't be both, by the way.
If you have expended the will of mercy, and you have not fulfilled your chance at mercy, then you will be just.
Then he's not all merciful, right? All merciful is not a defining property of God.
That is mercy in the fullest extent.
It's by definition not mercy to not give some. It's by definition not mercy to give someone what they deserve. No, that's by definition not mercy.
I think we have a little bit of a split view here on this.
So mercy is when you give someone a more lenient sentence or no sentence at all, despite what they deserve. Justice is giving someone exactly what they deserve. You cannot be merciful if you give them exactly what they deserve.
Okay, then why don't we go back? I will agree to you then that in terms of the points of there are I would say there's difference. There's a difference then. At death, it is just. Throughout your life, it is mercy.
Yeah, so then God changes.
The opportunity for mercy, then it's on you as your character. Yes, God will do justice, and he will trial you based on your life.
So, right, so God changes. We agree on that?
I wouldn't say God changes. I would say that.
I mean, he's just until Judgment Day, right?
The person, your life stage changes, and you will be trialed based on those points of your spiritual, I guess, ascendance. You're not going to be tried before you've died, right? It doesn't make sense. You have a life to fulfill your promise to the world.
But then, to be clear, then he's just never merciful. Mercy is what happens. Mercy is what happens when you give, when you dole out sentences, right? That's what mercy is. Mercy is like
he gives you that all throughout your life.
Jacob. I was in the middle of a sentence.
Yeah.
So Jacob. So like we would say that like a judge on earth, right? We would say that a judge is merciful, not if like the judge had overseen your childhood and like gave you all of these opportunities to be a good person and yet you still ended up committing a crime. We would say the judge is merciful if during your, like at the end of your, at the end of your trial, your criminal trial or whatever, the judge says, you did commit these crimes, you do deserve this sentence, but I'm going to give you less of a sentence. That would be merciful, right? Mercy happens at judgment. So if you're saying that God is not merciful on Judgment Day, then God's just not merciful.
Okay. I would say we're using human manifestational characteristics to define a judge.
That's just what mercy means. Like if you don't mean that by mercy, then I just don't know what you mean.
Okay, well then let's change the word for mercy then. He gives you the chance at redemption your entire life, and then when you don't take advantage of being able to be redeemed, then he judges you based on those factors. Okay, let's eliminate the word mercy. We can eliminate the total word of mercy, and we can look more into the Arabic actual scriptures of what the word mercy means, and we can dive into that. Or we can just take it at face value and just say, okay, fine, I'll agree to you, he's not merciful in your view, but in terms of how God, in terms of how the Muslims believe God acts, would be that he gives you chance at redemption all throughout your life, and then after your life, it is where you're going to go afterwards.
Yeah, okay, sure. So under your worldview, God, it seems like we could go look at what is actually said in the Quran, but we don't have to do that. Under your worldview, at least under the standard definition of what mercy is, you would say that God is not merciful.
To your perception of what mercy is, I would say
to the standard meaning of the word.
The human meaning for mercy, the way we interact with mercy fair.
Yes, so like what the word means is how people use it.
Okay, for sure. Then I'll agree with you. The way that all humans use the word mercy and every single way humans would use just is not an accurate representation of the true deity and power of God.
Okay, so you wouldn't say that saying that God is just is. You also wouldn't say that God is just under the standard definition of the term.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. Would you say that your God is good?
I'd say my God is fair, as I said before. In the terms
fair
of
and just are synonyms, right?
Yeah. So I'd say in my view that is fair. That is justice. That is fair. That is mercy.
Sorry. So what happens if you don't repent?
If you don't repent and you've committed vast amounts of sin and you don't live a good life and you're a horrible human being, you don't do charity, you don't connect.
Yeah, sure.
Connect with God.
Let's just say that you're like the biggest piece of shit. What happens if you don't repent?
You go to hell. You go to hell.
How long are you in hell for?
Eternity.
Okay. Now, what does fair mean?
Pardon me?
What does fair mean?
Fair means it's going to give everyone the same chance on earth to be a good person. And we can go into like mental issues and stuff like that. We can but everyone essentially has the same fair chance to be a kind person, to be a fair person.
So you're talking about like fairness in like an equality sense. Like everybody's equal. Everybody has the same chance. You're not talking about fairness in the sense of like
not in terms of like socioeconomics, not in terms of like political opportunity, not in terms of like housing.
Well, yeah, but no, but like fair in the sense that everybody has the same chance to come to God, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You don't mean fair in the sense that like it would be unfair if, let's say I have a kid and then my kid like accidentally knocks a a jar of pickles off the counter and it breaks, and then I punish him, and then I ground him until he's 18. That would be not unfair in that sense. Fair in like a balance. Fair in the sense of balance, not fair in the sense of equitable.
Yeah.
Okay. So that has nothing to do with justice, though, right? We agree on that?
In terms of like the cosmic scale, like I mean, it would though, would it not? Like,
Well, no. I mean, just so. Do you think that God gives people what they deserve generally?
After death.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
So let's say that you're like the shittiest human being that's ever lived. Like you're just like a scum. Like you spit on people instead of you spit on poor people, and you like have done a whole bunch of like you murdered a bunch of people, and like you're just a scum human being, right?
Yeah.
Would you say that those are finite crimes or infinite crimes?
Infinite crimes in the sense that you didn't repent. You didn't do your best.
Well, that was my question. Is the crime infinitely bad?
Okay, is this a segue into like morality?
No.
Okay.
I'm just asking, like, are those crimes like infinitely bad, right? Like are there no possible crimes that could be worse? Are the badness of the crimes infinitely large?
Scale of bad doing. I think the scale honestly could be infinite, right? Like you could look at like murdering one person versus murdering everyone. But in the Islamic religion, they believe that murdering one person is the same as murdering the entire world.
I mean, but surely you wouldn't say. I mean, hold on. Do you believe that? Do you believe that murdering one person is equally bad as murdering 100 people?
Two things. So, no, but in terms of what it means for your character, it is weighed the same, but not the same. Like, you know what I mean? Like the.
Okay, right. So murdering one person, not infinitely bad. If there can be things that are worse than it, right? You can't be worse than infinitely bad.
That's kind of like the point I was trying to get at. Is like, there's like scales to badness. Like in terms of like everything.
There are scales.
Essentially,
right.
in Islam, there's like an invisible scale of bad to good.
Sorry, you cut out one more time?
I said in Islam, they believe in the invisible scale. So for every bad deed, the good deeds way more outweigh the bad, but the bad can outweigh the good. If you
Sure. So like you would say that somebody who murdered one person, really, really bad, but like not as bad as somebody who murdered 100.
Yes.
Okay. So murder is not infinitely bad then. It can't be, because there can be things that are like murdering one person is less bad.
It is infinitely bad in absence of repentance and living a full life afterwards of repentance and
Sorry, I'm a little confused. So the action itself depends on what happens in the future, like how bad an action is.
Because that's the thing. That's the thing of free will.
No, but that doesn't make a lot of sense, right? That means that you couldn't evaluate whether or not an action is bad in the moment.
Okay, so that was the aspect of mercy I was trying to get at before we kind of changed the narrative on the word. That's what I was trying to get at, is you commit sin, okay? Your scale has just tipped, right? The negative to good. You now have the opportunity to flip the scale.
Right.
But
Jacob,
it is in your hands.
That's irrelevant. Yeah. I understand that you could flip the scale. What I'm asking is the scale infinitely high when you murder? Does it tip infinitely in one direction when you murder somebody? Okay, it's a finite amount. Like if we're thinking about this in like numbers, which you can't, but if you're thinking about this in terms of numbers, like if you murder one person, it'll go up by a certain, like the bad side will go up by a certain amount. If you murder 100 people, it'll go by more, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Now, even the worst person on earth, the amount of bad that they have done will always be finite, right? Because they could have always done more in principle. If they murdered one person, they could have murdered two. Right. So which is to say that the amount of bad any person ever does on Earth in our finite lives is always finite. And so how is it fair then that somebody deserves infinite punishment for finite crimes?
Because as we referred to the scale theory, you have the immense opportunity as every good deed outweighs the bad deeds 10 to 1.
So that doesn't address my question.
Okay, but I'm getting to that. When you live a life filled with goodness, then you can get the infinite reward. It is literally like this. Look, if you live good above the bad, you have infinite success. You have infinite eternity in heaven.
I understand the worldview. It's just not.
Now I'm getting to the other point. You live bad. Because you had the full life extent to make it good. Now you are going to live eternity in hell.
Right. But that's just not what. That would not be described as somebody getting what they deserved. When you get what you deserve, what that means is that your punishment, your sentence, your whatever is in some sense equal in magnitude to the crimes that you've committed. So
Well,
if
when
somebody's
it's a 10-to-1 scale,
Jacob,
and you
so I was in the
to
middle of a
live-
sentence. So for example, if somebody stole a candy bar, we would not say that they deserve 10 years in prison. Surely we wouldn't say that, because we know that stealing a candy bar is not that serious. It's only a little bad. And 10 years in prison is way, way worse. So that person would not be getting what they deserve. Yet what you're saying is the equivalent of somebody stealing a candy bar deserves to be imprisoned for eternity.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying
It is. It's just a more extreme version of it. Yeah.
Bars, what I'm saying is if you steal 10 candy bars and then you open a door for someone, you are forgiven.
The ability to repent is irrelevant to the argument. I'm talking about the worst person who's ever lived. They aren't repenting. The point is even the worst person who ever lived does not deserve infinite punishment, because an infinite punishment will never be fairly deserved given a finite crime.
I know, but that's human justification.
That's
right?
what we mean when we say deserve. If you mean something else, then you're using like weird God English rather than like human English, in which case I don't even know what you're talking about when you say that something is deserved or something is fair or just or whatever.
I would argue, in my opinion, it is deserved. If you live as the worst person in the world and you say even that it could go higher than that and there should be different, like maybe you're thinking tiered punishment or
finite punishments. Punishments
Or
should
like
be finite for finite crimes, yeah.
But in terms of the ability to live good to bad, if you live even more bad than good, it is irrelevant of just in terms of our human conceptualization of just. You had a full life. That is, you are given a plain
It's finite
set.
though. It's finite though, right?
Like our life on Earth is finite?
Yeah, the life and anything that we do on Earth is finite. You can't do infinitely good things or infinitely bad things. It's just always finite.
Right, I agree. So then you're
Which means
arguing, why is
that
it
there's no punishment that could ever be deserved given finite crimes.
Right, so you're saying, right, exactly. Okay, so
No
I understand
infinite
what you're saying.
punishment,
And
rather.
there is, though. My argument would be that there is justification for infinite crimes based on a finite opportunity.
So you mean infinite punishment based off of a finite crime?
Yeah.
Okay. And
that's what I.
So you would say that it's reasonable to say that somebody should get infinitely more punishment than is commensurate with the crime that they committed?
In the spiritual sense, absolutely.
In any sense.
In terms of like in terms of how we represent ourselves on Earth and how we.
I just mean in any sense.
I think there's a confliction between like religious sense and like practical sense between us on Earth. I would say someone who steals a candy bar should not be given 10 years in prison.
And yet you think that if somebody is just mildly worse than they are good, they should get infinity years in prison.
It's not mildly though. So
well, no, I mean, so you said that there's scales, right? If there's scales, then that means that there's a possibility that like you do a whole bunch of bad things and then you do just enough good things that you're almost tipped in favor of the good, right? But not quite.
Right. But
so that means that the equivalent is that you have like very, very tiny crimes, and yet you deserve infinite jail.
But it's not tiny crimes because it's 10-to-1. It's 10
okay,
good.
So Jacob, suppose for a moment that is stealing a crime, does that make your evil, does that make your sin scale go up a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay, so then let's take this example. Suppose that you have a kid who was perfectly neutral. They did some bad things, they did some good things. They like by the time they were 8 years old, they were perfectly level, right? 100% perfectly level as far as the scales go. Then they steal a battery, or then they steal a candy bar. So their scale tips ever so slightly up in the sin direction. And then they have a sudden heart attack and die. Now, what we're saying is that because their scales were equal beforehand, then effectively the only crime they're being punished for is stealing a candy bar, and they get eternity in jail.
So I totally understand. It's honestly a great argument that you're making. It's an amazing argument. So what I would counteract that with is two things. So in terms of actual scripture, we believe that God would be just on those occasions for children.
Let's say that he's 14.
Okay, like 14 or 15 years old, and
let's say he's 19.
For every 10 bad things he does, he only does one good thing. Okay.
Yep.
And he steals 10 times a day, but then once a day he opens a door for someone, or he's nice and helps.
Yep.
10 times a day he's screwing over society, and he'll do one nice thing, and at the end of it, let's say he has a heart attack or he dies of something crazy, something
he gets hit by a bus.
It's by a bus. Okay, yeah. But right before he stole, and now he's 11-1. Taram, it's done.
No. To be clear, he's not 11-1. It's like 1,001 to 100. So like his evil scale is like 0.001 in the evil side.
Yeah, because he had so much opportunity in those 15 years to do good.
But what you're saying is so to be clear, Jacob, what you're telling me is that under your worldview, if he had been hit by a bus just before stealing that last candy bar, he wouldn't go to hell. But because he got hit by a bus after stealing that last candy bar, he does go to hell.
Exactly. Life is unpredictable.
Well, no. So what that means is that he's going to hell because he stole that candy bar.
No, he's not going to hell because he stole the candy bar.
That is the proximate cause.
The straw that broke the camel's back. It was the straw that broke the camel's back.
Well, no. I mean,
he lived a life.
I mean, like
God, he lived a life.
It's you have to understand that this is an absurd view, right? That if you know he had stolen 1,000 candy bars but he opened 100 doors for old women, then he can go to heaven. But if he steals 1,001 candy bars and opens 100 doors for old women, then he goes to hell.
Based on when he dies, yes.
And you have to. So what you're saying is that stealing one more candy bar is enough to get you eternal torment. That doesn't seem deserved to me.
But it's not. Here's the thing. It's not one, because if you take away one,
no, it's stealing one more. Stealing one more, right? He was at 1,000. He was at 1,000 to 100.
Yes, but then he died above the scale. It was his responsibility in the years he was healthy to do good.
Okay, so Jacob, let's. I was trying to be kind of realistic, if you will, but let's be a little bit more specific. Let's suppose that somebody has never done any good things or any bad things, right? They've been sheltered their whole life, say. They're 19 years old, they're let out into the world, they steal a candy bar. That's the only bad thing they've ever done. They've done no good things. Do they go to hell when they die?
It's a great question. I would say, I mean, this is what I'm saying. I don't speak for God. This is where it can get a bit convoluted. I would argue yes, because it's an impossible situation. But
it's not impossible, right?
It's not really possible.
It's not likely, but like in principle, it's possible.
But thought is also sin. Thought is also good. So that's where it can get convoluted. So if a person has zero thoughts, zero life for 19 years,
Jacob, let's say that they were born into a coma and then they woke up out of the coma at 19 years old. They had perfect brain function, but they just woke up and they were brand new to the world, basically.
I understand.
And then they steal the candy bar. Yeah.
I think they're actually. I can't click out of this. Maybe you can. Maybe you're able to look it up, because I think there is something that touches on that in the Quran.
But like suppose. But I mean, the guy is supposed to, like in this example, the guy is like perfectly mentally coherent. He's fully there.
And then the first thing he does is steal, and then he dies.
He walks out of the hospital. He walks out of the hospital. He's like, I'm hungry. Sees a candy bar. He goes and grabs the candy bar, and then he eats it. And then he gets hit by a bus.
But does he know how? And he knows how the world works. Like,
yeah. Maybe he goes into a coma when he's 4 years old or something like this.
Situation.
Right, but it's not impossible. It's at least possible, and it illustrates that your worldview requires something absurd, that somebody could go to hell for stealing a candy bar.
Okay. I mean, that's a great situation to hypothesize and think about. Again, I don't speak for God in that situation, so I think I'm a little bit out of my realm in terms of like how to calculate that or the view on that. But I would say they'd probably be forgiven. But again, I don't speak for God in that situation, so I don't think I can give you the articulate answer you're looking for on that.
Okay, I mean, it's at least something to think about. I mean, like the whole business with fairness is really, really tricky anytime that there's an infinite punishment involved. And I think that you should probably think about it, but you've been on for a while, so I'm gonna let you go. Is that fair?
That's wonderful. Okay, I hope you have a great day. Thank you for having me on.
Likewise. Thanks for being here, Jacob. All right, I'm gonna answer read some super chats, and we'll bring up another guest from TikTok. So we have from John Jackson with the $2, everything is normal, don't mind it. Don't mind what? And then from D-Ball with the $5, I started reading Wheeler, do you recommend works? I don't know what that question means. Do you recommend other works? Do you mean like MTW Wheeler? Like Misner, Thorne, and Wheeler? Because that's a hard book. All right, let's bring up Brian Gallagher. Brian, how's it going?
Hello.
Howdy.
Oh, howdy, man. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Do you believe in God?
I do.
Which one? Just so I can know which word.
I would like to lay a substrate, though. I would like to know kind of who I'm talking to. What are
Brian,
we
before we start,
Yes.
just a quick question. Which God do you believe in? Are you a Christian? Are you Muslim, Hindu, Jew, Shinto? Just so I can know, or maybe you're just a classical theist, maybe you're a deist, just so I can know where you're coming from.
So I categorically kind of fall in a nuanced kind of place in between, more of a panpsychist. With that being said, all of the different religions.
What is the panpsychism is unrelated to God?
I mean, that's a claim. I mean,
No,
I mean,
panpsychism is a philosophy about consciousness. It's not a philosophy about the existence of a divine being.
Oh, because the divine being wouldn't be consciousness, then, is what you're implying.
No, you can hold that view. You can also hold the view of pantheism, and then you can also hold pantheism and panpsychism. In which case, then you would hold that view. But
you're
that's not what you
claiming
said.
to have a debate. No, you're not having a debate. You're citing reference points that are chronicled in such a way that allow you to debate them and pick them apart. You're using logic and reduction to make something make no sense while not listening to actual evidence that counter.
I don't care. Like, he just seemed like he wanted to come on and cry. Like, let's talk to Nina. Works by John Wheeler, limited space in Super Chat. Oh, I see. I don't think I've read anything by John Wheeler, except I've used MTW as a reference, so I can't really comment on it. John Weir. John, how's it going? Sorry, Josh, not John.
Hey, good man. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Have we spoken before?
I don't think we have.
Okay. Do you believe in God?
I do, yeah. I believe in Jesus Christ. I believe God is real, and I have pretty much my whole life.
Okay. And what would you say is the most compelling argument you could give me that would make me think that Christianity is true?
So I'll say this. I believe that Christianity is true on one premise. It's not earned. There is no cost to eternity. The only cost really is to acknowledge that Jesus is Lord and Savior over your life, and to try and really do your best at life. I like what the previous caller was getting at somewhat, but here's my issue. I don't believe that you have to do 10 good things to overcome one bad thing. I believe that if there's things in your life that are going wrong,
you're not Muslim, so that's not surprising.
It's a Muslim view, but I think a lot of religions that are monotheistic, I believe that they're all pointed towards the same God. I believe that they're just on the wrong path. I believe that there are a lot of Muslims. Go ahead.
Look, so Josh, so I understand that that's the view. I'm asking, why should I believe it's true?
Well, ultimately, if you're basing your belief on facts, you're looking at it the wrong way.
You're telling me that I shouldn't form my beliefs on justifiable reasons?
Not solely facts, because you can refute anything I talk to you about. I can tell you
then it just sounds like there's no good reasons to believe in it.
Well, no, not necessarily true. There's a great reason to believe in it. It's eternity.
Well, I'm not asking why it would feel good to believe in it. I'm asking why I should believe in it, as in, why should I think it's true?
Well, historically, you have the evidence of Jesus' death and resurrection. You have eyewitnesses that could attest to that actually happening.
Okay, so we want to talk about like the historical case for Christianity?
Yeah, we can start with the historical case for Christianity.
So I suppose that that it's the resurrection that's kind of paramount for the Christian story, right?
Yeah, I would say that I mean, everything in Christianity hinges on it, right? Christ out on the cross.
Right, exactly.
He was dead in the tomb, resurrected.
So why should I think that that's true? Why should I think it's true that he resurrected?
Because it's historical fact. There were eyewitnesses at that time, at that place, that could confirm that when the boulder was rolled away, the tomb was empty.
So we have descriptions of people. We have a story of somebody saying that people witnessed this, right? So we have like the Gospels, for example. In the Gospels, we have descriptions of the two Marys. Is it the two Marys? You know, they were there, but we don't have their eyewitness accounts, right? We don't have their writings. We have the Gospels, which are telling the stories of these women as they believe them to be.
Okay.
So we don't have eyewitness accounts. We have secondhand accounts, perhaps, maybe third-hand accounts, more realistically.
Right. But they were eyewitnesses.
No, they weren't. They were second or third-hand accounts. No, we don't know that they were like we have accounts of eyewitnesses.
Right. So that's my whole point. And I guess maybe my argument's mute with you because you're looking for factual evidence that God exists. And that's why you should believe in God. When the whole premise of Christianity is it's based in faith. If you have to look for facts, you're searching too hard for it.
Shouldn't we want to believe things only if we have good reason to think that they're true?
Well, we do have good reasons to think that they're true. Does eternity not is eternity not a good enough reason?
Only if you think it's real. Which is presupposing the thing that you're trying to say that we should believe is true.
But your key word was if you think it's real.
Right. My point is if you already believe that heaven and hell are real, then yeah, you should be a Christian or a Muslim or a Hindu or whatever it might be. But if you don't already believe that those things are real, if you don't have that preconceived notion, why would you think that, like, what is the justification for a belief in those things?
It's a good question. You kind of flipped it on me. You know, I don't know really how to answer that. I think at the end of the day, you made a comment earlier that you don't necessarily not believe that God is real, but you don't have proof that God is real. And that is my whole thesis is you have to have faith and believe. It's the things that you see around you that lead you to believe and have this thought and this belief that God is real. It's the interactions, it's the miracles that you witness.
I mean, the things I see,
things day to day.
So the things I see around me lead me to believe that God is not real.
What would one thing be that would lead you to believe God is not real? You talked about cancer.
Yeah, we can talk about the fact that if God were real, we would have expected God to push the cancer button, but he didn't.
Well, why would he push the cancer button? We're a fallen world. So and we've been given free will to choose how we live. So when Adam and Eve were created...
Go ahead.
No, that's okay. You have a thought I want you to continue with.
Yeah. So would you say that you would push the cancer button?
If I could heal everyone, yeah, I would love to heal everyone.
Okay, and would you say that that's good or bad or neutral?
I would say it's neutral. You know,
you would say that curing everybody's cancer is neutral.
Yeah, I would, because
it doesn't have moral value.
Okay, follow with me.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, fine. If I could cure everyone, I would cure everyone. But what happens when I cure them? We continue to live our lives in a way that, quite frankly, we put ourselves in these positions. You know,
we put ourselves in the positions to have cancer.
Yeah, we do. By the way we live.
The sun gives us cancer.
Contributing factor?
The sun.
Glucose gives us cancer.
The sun gives us cancer.
The sun, yes.
Yeah. Just being outside gives us cancer. Being outside in God's world gives us cancer, right? What, I mean, we can put on a sunscreen, I guess, but people 100 years ago didn't have sunscreen, right?
Right, but they covered themselves when they went outside. They wore full-length pants. They
Not
wore
everybody
full-length shirts.
So look, my point is that like there are obviously cancers that like aren't preventable. These aren't things that we could have foreseen. Some people like if you look at brain tumors, like brain cancers, they're most common in children. That's like not a thing that they did.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Right. So
it's horrible.
It seems like, and so going back to the question, you said that you would push the button. Of course, I would push the button too. I understand that people would get cancer again in the future, but at least like curing everybody who's currently alive who has cancer right now, that seems like a good thing. It seems like not like whether or not you believe in objective morality, it seems like it's obviously good, right?
Yeah.
And yet God has that button, and He's not doing the good thing.
Well, let me ask you this then. Why is curing everybody of cancer the good thing to do when He knows full well they may develop cancer down the road and they're going to die anyway? Or they get hit by a bus tomorrow. Like He sees everything. He's outside of time. So what would be...
It's a great question. So if that's the case, if your view is that actually maybe it's not good, then why would you push it?
Because I don't like to see people suffer, and I know God doesn't like to see people suffer either. But I'm
God
not
could push
all-knowing.
the button.
I don't know
God could
what's
push the
gonna happen.
button.
Yeah, He could, but He knows.
But He chooses not to. Look, so either pushing the button is good or it's not good, right?
Right.
Now, whatever God thinks is good is actually good, right?
Correct.
Like God's never wrong about things being good or bad. So if God isn't pushing the button, then and God is all good, that means that God doesn't think that pushing the button is good.
Correct.
So why would you push the button when you know God knows it's not good to do?
Because I'm an idiot and I'm not God. I'm fallen.
But now you know that it's not good to do. You know that it would not be good to push the button.
So you've convinced me of something. I'm not going to push the button.
Okay, and now
But if I could selectively push the button,
well, just to be clear, I think you're lying to yourself now. Actually, like I think that you definitely are. I think that you're now lying to yourself if you're saying that you wouldn't push the button.
No, I think you presented a good argument, and I need to reflect a little bit on it. But I think I probably wouldn't push the button. Linking it back to, I don't think God will push a button because He's all-knowing, and He would know the circumstances that come after He pushes that button, and maybe there's a reason why, and I don't understand it.
Yeah, okay, fair. So now we've established that you don't think that we should take action to cure all cancer, right? Or not, or to cure everybody's cancer.
No, I think we should take action. I think we should do everything
Why?
we can do. Well, why not?
But wait, so
Why
you're
not
saying that we should
pursue
do
it?
everything we can do except push the button that would actually work?
Okay, but you're using a hypothetical that's impossible. The button does exist.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist.
Well, it
That
exists for
doesn't
God.
mean
It
that
doesn't
we should
exist for
sit
us.
by idly. Right. That doesn't mean we should sit by idly and not do
if the
research
button
on cancer. And...
if the button appeared in front of you, you wouldn't push it, but you would still say all of the cancer scientists who are trying to cure cancer, they should keep doing what they're doing.
Yes, absolutely.
So even though you could do the thing that they're trying to do, and you think that what they're trying to do is good, you're doing it is not good.
Yes, because I don't know the end game. I don't have that.
But then why is it
foresight.
good if they
I
do
can't-
it?
Well, they're not. They're striving towards a cure.
They're trying to cure it. Yeah, they're
and
trying to cure
remedies
it.
for cancer. Yeah.
But maybe they shouldn't because God hasn't cured it. So maybe He needs maybe
Well,
God
I can't speak for
knows
everyone
that.
else.
So it sounds like what okay. So
you're
Josh,
presenting a conflicting argument.
Right. So Josh, let's say that you go to medical school for, I don't know, 5 years or 3 years or however long you go to medical school. And then you're brilliant and you come up with a cure for cancer. You have the button now. Do you distribute it?
Sure.
So you would push the button.
If I had the cure, I would give it to anyone that needed it. Absolutely.
Just so you have the button and you would push it.
Yep. If I had the magic pill,
but you said that you
give
wouldn't push it.
freely.
But you said that you wouldn't push it. You wouldn't push the button.
Okay. If we're talking about a godlike function, a button where I could just cure cancer, and me putting in the work, developing a cure, and providing that cure to everyone.
So what makes it
Those are two
good? Is it
different
good
scenarios.
so what if you just found an herb that cured cancer? You just found it.
Great. Distribute the herb.
Okay, but you didn't put in the work to develop it.
Doesn't matter. I found it.
Yeah, okay, so now instead of finding an herb, you
How
found
is penicillin found?
That was by an accident. It's an interesting story, but it's neither here nor there.
Exactly.
Okay, so now instead of finding the herb, you find the button. Now what?
Great.
Do you push the
If
button?
I knew what the button did?
Yep, it
If
says
I knew beyond the
press.
shadow of the
It says
doubt of a
it says
doubt.
press me to cure all cancer.
Well, that's a tricky one because how do I really believe that that will cure all the cancer?
It has a video of it being pushed in the past, let's say.
This is a
Next
crazy
to it.
hypothetical, but sure.
It is a hypothetical.
Sure. If
You
I
know
knew
for certain that it cures cancer. Yeah.
Sure.
You would push the button.
Sure. But again, my argument is I don't know. For me, it's kind of hard. I don't really know what's going to happen when I push that button. Even if I see proof that it's going to cure cancer, I don't know if it's going to cure everyone. I don't know if that person that I cured of cancer is going to develop Alzheimer's or, some other awful disease. Like I just don't know. So
right. So
I
you
guess
push the button. You
my
cure
best
cancer.
answer for this question is
Uh-huh.
let me change my answer. I like this topic, but I've got a couple other
You cut out one more time.
things that I don't want to take up everyone's time.
Sure. It's at least worth thinking about.
Let
Then
me
we can
give this
pivot.
as my
That's fine.
final answer, but I have two. Yeah, for sure. I got a couple others. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if I would because I don't have enough information. It just, for me, it's,
Okay.
I'm not God, so I don't know if I could play that role.
Okay, that's fine. It's at least worth thinking about. There was another thing that you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, your title is "Can you convince me to believe in my God?" And I want to come back to this idea of mercy and justice and forgiveness and why I believe in God. I mean, the cost of Christianity is simple and it's not. He asks for your whole life, but he doesn't really put demands on, like, I don't have to go out and do 10 good things today. If I do something bad and I repent for that sin, I'm forgiven. I don't need to go do 25 good things to erase the bad thing that I did. The Day of Atonement is the day I die.
All you're convincing me of right now is that Christianity is more coherent than Islam, which, if that guy was an accurate representation of Islam, then I would agree with you. But just because Christianity is more coherent than Islam doesn't mean that it's true or coherent.
I'm not talking
in
about
full.
coherency. I'm not talking about coherency. I'm talking about
what you're
why I
arguing
believe
for is
God.
you're arguing for Christianity in favor of Islam, and I might even grant that. But that doesn't mean that I think that's not an argument for Christianity, right?
No, the argument for Christianity is it's not a token system. So I believe if God's our creator, he created us. He gave us free will to decide to follow him or to not follow him. And that's a huge, that's massive. Like, think about our parents. They raised us, they guided us. But at the end of the day, hopefully if your parents raise you right, they give you the ability to decide what you want to do with your life. Your parents gave you the ability to decide, I hope. If you're involved with your parents, I don't know if I'm over speaking, but
you're fine.
You decided you want to be a doctor, right? I decided I wanted to go into business, and they let me make that decision. I could have made another decision, but they gave me free will. And that's what any good parent does. I look at God as a father, as a parent that gives me the ability to choose. And my life has been better for it. I've made good decisions all along the way. Again, I can't give you factual evidence that God exists, but I can tell you in my life, based on the circumstances I've been in, that God is real. But I've had to invest my time in him. And I've had to kind of walk through.
So Josh, I understand that you've had experiences that have compelled you to believe in God, and I totally get that. I can understand how that's rational and reasonable from your perspective, but you telling me about your experiences they're going to fall on deaf ears, because hearing about other people's spiritual experiences is like hearing about other people's dreams. I just don't care.
Right. Okay. So you had made a comment earlier that you believe that, let me go back through my notes here. I actually opened quite a few tabs, so I got to go to the right one. You talked about purpose in life. You believe that we discover our own purpose, that it's not given to us.
Or we define our own purpose, yeah. Depends on your view, but sure, yes.
So when does that purpose begin?
Whenever you find it.
Right, but don't you think that purpose always existed in your life?
No.
You don't believe your purpose is to cause people to think about why they believe in God or not?
No.
Specifically related to this.
No,
live
that's not my life's.
interaction on
That's not
TikTok.
my life's purpose. No.
Okay, what's your life's purpose?
I'd rather not share. It's kind of personal.
Okay, no worries. You're a physicist, so obviously you love physics.
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe that that plays a part in your purpose in life?
Again, not going to discuss my own purpose, my own personal stuff.
Okay, fair enough. You know, I think at the end of the day, your opening
You cut out again. One more time.
conversations to have people convince you to
Mhm.
believe in their God. Oh, sorry.
Yep.
I feel like you've opened a conversation for people to, in your words, can you convince me to believe in your God? I don't think anyone can convince you.
Okay.
And I'm speaking for Christianity as a whole. I think anytime you have to convince someone that God is real, you've lost the plot. I think, and you said it, you don't want to hear people's stories. You don't want to hear about miracles.
Right, but that's the whole business of Christianity, right? You're trying to spread the gospel, right?
Yeah, for sure. That's exactly what.
And the way to do that is to convince people to believe.
Well, no, I can't convince you to believe. To convince a man against his will is to leave him with his own mind still. Famous saying from my grandfather.
I don't think that
And
you can. I don't
firmly
even know
believe
what it means to convince somebody against their will. When you convince somebody, it is because their will aligned with the things they were telling them.
Well, sure. Is your will to believe that God exists?
If God is real, I would love to know it.
Okay, so what steps have you taken outside of research, historical, factual research, to understand if God is real or not?
I've talked with probably 1,000+ Christians at this point, who have all
Right,
tried to
but
give me
you said-
compelling evidence or compelling reason to think about why Christianity is correct.
And I can't give you compelling evidence. I can only
That's
share.
why I changed it for a
that's the
reason.
beauty-
It doesn't have to be evidence. You could give me a reason.
Yeah.
Compelling reason.
Well, but you've said you don't want to hear stories. You don't want to hear anecdotes about how
I don't
God
want to hear
is real.
personal. I don't want to hear personal stories, because somebody else's personal experience is just wildly uncompelling. Like, I've heard 100+ personal experiences of, oh, you know, I was in a car accident and then, you know, I prayed to Jesus and I walked away. Like, I've heard 100 of these. They're just wildly uncompelling.
Okay, but what about the stories of Jesus feeding 5,000 with 2 fish and 3 loaves of bread?
Yeah, so I've heard that story. I don't know why I should think it's true.
Right. So you don't want personal, but you also don't want historical stories that.
Well, no, I'd love
show
like
the
historical stories. I don't want mythological stories. I don't want stories that like are maybe true, maybe not. We don't really have good evidence that it happened. Like, if you can give me like good historical evidence that this is the case, then sure, please.
Yeah, you know, I think you'd be hard pressed to find historical evidence from 2,000 years ago that can't be refuted one way or another.
I mean, like, I'm not asking for bulletproof. I'm asking for compelling, right? Like, you could say that like the whole world was created last week and everything else is just like made up fiction. And that's that. Like, I'm not that level of skeptic, right? But like, we have very good reason to think that, for example, Julius Caesar existed, because like we have the writings, we have his face on statues, we have his face on coins, we have contemporaries talking about him, we have, you know, I think that we even have his own writings. Like, we have all of this stuff, right? That's like really compelling. We have like archaeological remains that I don't think that we have Julius Caesar's body actually, but we have archaeological remains of things related to Julius Caesar. So we have a lot of good reason to think that Julius Caesar was a real person. On the other hand, the evidence for things like the miracles performed by Jesus are like one story in like 5 sentences in the Bible, and that's it.
Well, there's many stories.
I'm talking about like this. I'm talking about like this. I'm talking about like specific miracles, like the So there's is it in John or is it in Luke? I don't remember. Anyway, there's a story where after Jesus resurrects, the saints of Jerusalem come out from their tombs and wander around the city, right?
Okay.
So that's
a new one for me.
You haven't heard that? Oh.
No.
Let me find the verse for you. I can never remember where it is. This is in Resurrection of the Jerusalem Saints. This is like a real thing. I just have to find it.
It's probably part of the.
It's in Matthew. I'm sorry. It's in Matthew. It's Matthew 27 verses 52 and 53. So it's not part of the pseudepigrapha, no. So Matthew 27 verse 52, 53 is, the tombs also were opened, and many bodies of the saints who had fallen asleep were raised, and coming out of the tombs after his resurrection, they went into the holy city and appeared to many. Right? That's Matthew 27. This is not apocrypha. This is just in Matthew. And it's really a weird verse. And like, we are expected to believe that, you know, even though there's 2 sentences about this and it's not recorded anywhere else, that this actually happened. Like, that's not good enough. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I would need to understand the exegesis of the scripture to be able to comment on it.
Okay.
It doesn't come up. It never came up in my Bibles, my Sunday school.
And you must have not read Matthew. Because it's in Matthew.
Well, I've read the entire Bible, but there's a lot of words in there.
Then he must have missed it. That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, I must have missed it. No, again, I'll fall on this. Like, ultimately, and I'll end on this. I don't want to take up other people's time. But ultimately, it's up to you. Like, if you're, I'll say this: if you're earnestly seeking a relationship with God, as I know Him to be, and you spend your time in prayer and you spend your time kind of abiding by the basic tenets of what God's asked us to do. We'll boil it down to the 10 Commandments. Living according to all 631 laws in the Bible is next to impossible, and most of them are archaic and don't really matter anymore. If you earnestly seek God, you'll find Him. That's all I can say. Like, there's nothing I can say factually or provide evidentiary proof that God exists that will lead you to believe He's real.
Okay. Well, Josh, I'm going to let you go because there are a bunch of people in queue, but thank you for being here.
Yeah, man. Yeah, thanks.
Take care. All right, let us bring up Asira. I know you've been waiting for a long time. I know that a lot of you have been waiting for a long time. Oh, Asira, sorry. Before we you're still muted. Before we start, I just need to read some super chats. From Grimlock, we have, as a polypantheist, your guests today are making me sad. Yeah, I bet. From Grim, we have $10. Philbro started crying in first 2 minutes. Is that some sort of record? Yeah, probably. From Gretchen with the $3, have you considered, quote, just decide to believe? I have considered that. From Bjorn Jansen with the 200 Norwegian kroner. Thank you. And from GP DeCiantis with the 10 Canuck bucks. Why do you care about believing in God in the first place? Why do you want us to convince you other than fun debates? Well, it is fun. But other than that, like, if God is real, that's a really important thing to know, right? Especially if the God is a God of like Christianity or Islam or something like this. And then Asira with the $2. I figured out how to join. May I join? Yes, you may join. Asira, how's it going? Can you hear me? You are unmuted. Yeah, DPRK fans popping up. Yeah, I just see Knock, and I'm like, North Korea, yeah. Asira, you should be able to hear me now.
It is going well. How are you?
So you have to turn off the YouTube chat and maximize the video thing that you're watching on, because otherwise there'll be a huge delay. So give her a sec.
Can you hear me? Is that a yes, a no?
I can hear you.
Give me
Can
a
you hear
moment.
me? And now we wait.
Are you kidding me?
Bro reads the chat speedily. Well, sometimes people have questions. And, you know, people want to support me somehow.
Huh. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
No? Okay, hold on 1 second.
there's
Yeah.
You have to open up the
I'm
tab
gonna
that
log
you're...
out and come back in. Give me a moment.
That's fine. Yeah, by the way, she is definitely over 18. I don't want to say definitely over 18, but like she is an adult woman. Her video is on. So yeah, we'll give it some time. We'll let her come back and then bring her up. Just waiting. Doctor, was that Riz? I don't think it was Riz. People were just like, is she 18? Like, yes, like you can tell, like she's not like a child. I don't know how old she is. I'm bad at guessing ages, but she's definitely not like a child. I don't know why, but she's still loading in. She hasn't loaded yet. Still waiting. Oh, you left and came back. Hold on, I can't see your name, but it's definitely on my end. Let me refresh. It'll pop up with your names in just a moment. There you are. All right, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. So, do you believe in God?
Perfect. Yes. Yes, I do.
And which one?
And I believe in Jehovah.
Okay, great. What would you say? Yeah, go ahead.
Should I refer to you as doctor? Or
You can call me Blitz. Blitz is probably more casual.
would you prefer something else?
Just call me Blitz. It's better that way.
Blitz?
Yep.
Okay. Sounds good to me. Thank you for answering. I appreciate it.
Right. So, what would you say is the most compelling argument you could offer me?
Go to Job 36, 27, and 28. And can you read to me what that says?
You said Job 36. Your microphone's not great, so it's a little bit hard to hear. You said Job 36, 27, and 28?
Yep, Job 36, 27, and 28.
He draws
Is that
up
better?
I think so. Yeah, so Job 36, 27, and 28. He draws up the water which distill as rain to the streams. The clouds pour down their moisture and abundant showers fall on mankind. That one?
Yep.
Okay, what about
What does that describe? Scientifically, what does that describe?
It describes evaporation, turning into rain, and then clouds forming. Describes something like a simplified view of the water cycle.
Yeah, and when was the water cycle discovered?
That's a good question. Do you mean like in the modern form? I would imagine that the modern form of the water cycle has been talked about.
First?
I don't actually know the history. I guess Homer was talking about the water cycle. Or no, I'm sorry. In 700 BC, the Greek poet Hesiod outlines the idea of the water cycle. Vapor is drawn from the ever-flowing rivers and is raised high above the earth by windstorm, and sometimes it turns to rain towards evening, and sometimes to wind when the Thracian Boreas huddles the thick clouds. So I guess around 700 BC would be like the first kind of description of the water cycle.
Yeah. But when was it well understood? Let's ask that.
I mean, it depends on how well understood, I guess. Probably like 150 or 200 years ago, I bet.
The 1800s about.
Yeah, okay, sure.
So, if the Bible was written far before that, how does that have such an accurate description of it?
Well, it has, I don't think it does. It's not like a complete understanding of it. I think it's about akin to what the Greek poet Hesiod described. It's, water is raised up to the sky and then that becomes rain and falls back down. And they knew about that before Job was written. So that's not so surprising.
Yeah. How about Job 26:7?
Yeah, let me pull it up. Job 26:7. He does not take his eye off the righteous. He enthrones them with kings and forever. Oh, sorry, I was looking at 36, not 26. 26.
Don't worry about it.
Job 26:7. He spreads out the northern skies over empty space. He suspends the earth over nothing. Yeah, what about it?
What is the earth suspended by?
It's not.
Exactly. And what did the Bible just say far before we ever discovered that?
Well, no, that it is suspended over nothing.
Exactly. He stretched out the earth over the empty place.
Mm-hmm.
Stretch out the north, sorry. And hangeth the earth upon nothing.
Right. So what he's saying is that, I mean, like, we're looking at different translations. That's fine though. But what it's saying is that it is suspended above nothing. Using? The NIV. If you prefer a different version, that's fine. We can use whatever version you want.
I'm using. Hold on. Let me just find yours so I can use that one.
I mean, we can also use the NSRV. It doesn't really matter. I mean, like, I don't think that we're going to have like a scriptural translation debate right now. I don't think that that's really like the thing to do.
Well, how can I prove to you that God exists if I don't use the very thing that is said to be God's word?
What I'm saying is, what I'm saying is that I don't think that the specific translation really matters, because they're mostly going to say roughly the same thing, you know? Like, they're going to convey the same ideas.
But they say it in different ways that can be different. Anyway.
Yeah, so look, so it is very possible. So one way that you can interpret this is that, like they knew about space. Another way that you can interpret this is consistent with, you know, well understood Hebrew mythology or Hebrew cosmology, which is that the earth was flat, there was a dome over it, the sun came in through a door on one side and left through a door on the other side, and then it was just floating above empty space. And so this verse, 26:7, is consistent with both. Nothing about this screams to me that, like, they're talking about, like, oh, the earth is, like, floating in empty space as a sphere and orbiting the sun kind of thing, right?
Yeah, no, yes, but you're looking at it, and you're looking at it as if the Bible was written by man, and it's not words that are inspired of and by God.
Well, sure, but we know,
which is what the Bible is said to be.
So we have other writings from people at the time, and if you ask scholars, they'll tell you, yeah, like the ancient Hebrews 2,500 years ago, this was a rough description of their cosmology. It was like, you know, you have the flat earth, you have the dome over it, you have the sun coming in and out, and then you have Sheol below it, and then there's just nothing beneath that, right? And so, like, understood that way, understanding that that's what the ancient Hebrews believed, then Job 26 verse 7 makes sense. And it's still wrong.
No.
Like, it's still incorrect that, like the earth is not flat, right?
Yeah. Oh, it's definitely not.
But by the way, and just
and the Bible actually
because I
says
have to do this.
That.
Because I have to do this. Are you familiar with the flat earth Job verse?
No, I am not.
It's Job 38:14, if I remember correctly. Yeah, so go to Job 38.
Job. Hold on. 38:14.
I think it is. Let me. And we can look at whatever version you want. But essentially, it describes the earth as being like the clay pressed under a seal.
Yeah.
Now, what shape is the clay pressed under a seal?
It's
like a little disc.
That
with,
would
like,
be
bumps
flat,
on it.
technically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the only reason I cite this verse, I cite this verse is because I've talked with a lot of flat earthers, and they point to this verse as proof that the Bible says the earth is flat. So, I mean, look, like.
Okay, sorry, I shouldn't snort. I shouldn't snort. I shouldn't laugh at that.
No, you should snort at flat earthers. They deserve it. But my point is that the Bible says a lot of things. Some of them can be interpreted as being correct. Some of them can be interpreted as being incorrect. I'm not sure if we can appeal to the ones that can be interpreted as if they're correct, as evidence that the Bible kind of predates its, you know, the knowledge that they should have had, any more than we can interpret the verses where it's incorrect as saying, oh, they got it wrong, you know?
Yeah. Okay. Now, what often did they believe back in the day, before, like, the Bible was written and all that? Like, before, what was it, Plato? I think it was Plato that was like, the earth is most likely round or whatever, and suddenly it was confirmed and stuff.
think it was
here.
Aristotle. I think
Like-
Aristotle was the first person to propose
yeah.
that, maybe. And then what is his name? Eratosthenes kind of measured the shape of the Earth like in 2200 or like 200 BC or something like this. Anyway.
Yeah. Let me. Yeah, here it is. The Bible, not a science textbook. It has never claimed to be a science textbook.
Sure.
I mean, it's a Bible.
Yeah, that's fair.
And yet, nothing in the Bible contradicts science, does it?
I mean,
Like we just talked about the rain thing.
Kind of does. Like there are definitely verses that are like definitely contradictory with the way that we understand the world. For example,
which ones?
If you go to, I mean, like the go-to example is like Genesis 1. So even if you grant that God created the universe, in Genesis 1 it describes the creation of the plants as happening on day 3, maybe day 4, and then the creation of the sun as taking place after that on the next day or the day after. I can pull it up if you want. Yeah, we can go look at Genesis 1 if you want. So in Genesis 1 we have the third day, we have the plants. Yeah, so the plants were created on the third day. And then if you look at the lights in the sky, that's the sun and the moon. Then I think that's on the 5th day, maybe the 4th day. Sorry, that's the 4th day. So on the 3rd day you have plants, on the 4th day you have the sun and the moon. And so that kind of contradicts our understanding that plants require the sun to exist. Plants do not predate the sun, at least according to the scientific understanding. So seems like you got that wrong.
Hold on 1 second.
Sure.
Let me look for something so I can actually answer that with what I know. I just have to refresh my memory.
You're good.
Oh yeah, here. Okay. Well, first let's go with the 6 24-hour day thing. Like, are you familiar with the belief that it was just 24-hour days?
Well, so I am familiar that some people believe that yes, the Earth and the universe was created in 6 24-hour days. Yeah. Oh, did I just lose connection? Oh, that's so annoying. Sorry about that. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Sorry about that. That's my end. That was, it broke on my end. Hello? Hello? I can hear you. Can you hear me? Testing. It says that my audio is working. Let me remove you from the... All right. Can you hear me now? Okay, I'm gonna refresh again. I know that you guys can hear me. I know that you guys can't hear her because she wasn't talking. It's the app that I'm using is it's rough because it leaks IP addresses, so I have to use a VPN. All right, can you hear me now? Yeah, I can hear background noises too, but she can't hear me, which is annoying. Let me check my own audio settings. It looks like my audio settings are working. It's a bummer. That was going somewhere anyway. Let me remove from scene 1. How about now? Can you hear me? Because I can hear you.
No, I can't hear you if you're talking now.
Yeah, I'll have her refresh.
Yeah, I can do that real quick. I'll be back.
We'll have her refresh, and then she'll
Sorry.
come back. It was that. So everybody, it's annoying because it was on my end. So I'm using a VPN to feed through my audio on the link that's somewhere up here because it leaks IP addresses, and I don't need people knowing my IP address. All right, I can hear you now.
Perfect. And I can hear you. I am
All
so
right,
sorry
great.
about that. I don't know what happened.
No, you're fine. Okay, so 6 24-hour days, right? I understand that some people believe that. I don't think that we have any reason to think that the Earth was created in 6 24-hour days, but even granting that...
Oh, yeah, you're absolutely right.
Even granting that, the Earth, the ordering is still wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. And let's see. Where is it? I have too many things in front of me, and that is never a good thing.
I can understand that.
Let's see.
I mean, for what it's worth, it also got the order wrong about the order in which animals appeared. Flying animals didn't predate land animals. And that's described, the land animals are made on the 6th day and flying animals are made on the 5th day. So, I mean, it just gets some orders wrong, which is exactly what you would expect if this was written by people 2,500 years ago who didn't know about evolutionary history.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a very complicated thing, belief. I mean, evolution has never personally made sense to me. I mean, if evolution exists, why aren't apes, which we're supposedly descended from, no longer turning into humans? Why do we no longer have the
Is that a
early
rhetorical question, or
humans?
do you want an answer?
I would like an answer, actually.
Yeah, okay. So the apes that we descend from, and we are still apes, like that's just the category that we're in, but the apes that we descend from don't exist anymore. Those apes, think of them like our great-great-grandparents. Our great-great-grandparents don't exist, but our great-great-grandparents had several children, and so we have cousins, and our cousins are the great apes that still exist. So they branched off, we branched off, we're doing our own thing. Why would they be evolving if they're not the thing that did the evolving in the first place? They're just a different type of thing. In the same way that you're not your cousins, that your cousins aren't turning into you, despite the fact that you both came from the same place.
That is, that's a pretty, well, that certainly answers that question. Thank you, I appreciate
You're
that.
welcome.
That is a very well-made point. Let's see. Yeah, here it is. Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth.
Mm-hmm.
Heaven, then the earth.
Well, I mean, it's just using and. But if the claim is that, it got the order right, well, okay, but it got the order wrong elsewhere, so...
Okay. The description of the earth being made is by the people, but it is a...
Your audio just got really bad again, by the way. I don't know why.
I'm using my headphones.
Okay, that's much better.
And I
Thank
like
you.
switching which mic is being used.
Sure.
They like switching which mic likes to be used. I'm sorry about that.
You're fine.
Okay, so the days, and as you read them, let me just go to... So in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Now the earth was formless and desolate, and there was darkness upon the surface of the watery deep. And God's active force was moving about over the surface of the waters. This doesn't sound like it's from God's point of view, does it?
Well, it's a third-person
It sounds
perspective,
like
of
someone.
course.
It's from a first-person perspective of a person witnessing the formation of the earth, like they're on the earth, as it's being made.
And the
So-
point is...
And with that in mind, diffused light from the sun reached the earth's surface during the first day of
Sorry,
creation.
where do you see
And the
something about the
atmos-
sun in... Wait, what verse is this that you're reading? The diffuse light from the sun?
I am okay.
Because the sun wasn't made until the fourth day, or the fifth day, I'm sorry.
No.
Or, no, I'm sorry, the fourth day. I mean, that's what it says. It's Genesis 1:14 through 18 is the creation of the sun and the moon.
Yes. So here. Let's go back to reading. And God said, "Let there be light." And then there was light.
Yeah, that's what it says.
After that, God saw the light was good. And God began to divide the light from the darkness. God called the light day, but the darkness he called night. And this is well before the the fourth day?
Yeah.
So why does it describe him making the sun, making day and night far before the fourth day, and therefore before
So at the time,
plants and vegetation?
So 2,500 years ago, the ancient Hebrews didn't believe that the sun was the only source of light. They thought that the sky was lit on its own, and the sun was just a bright light in the sky. And so under this view, it makes sense. He created the sky. He created the sky as it was lit, and the sky as it was dark. When it was lit, it was day. When it was dark, it was night. And then later, he put the sun in the sky. But they didn't understand that the reason why the sky was blue was because of the sun was illuminating it. They didn't understand that. I mean, with modern knowledge, it is very weird. How could you have day and night without the sun? But the way that they understood it was not that the sun was what made it daytime or nighttime. That was just where the sun was during the day. It just happened to be in the sky. It was day and night because of the sky, not because of the sun.
Yeah. Yeah. So hold on, let me scroll one real quick. I have a question for you, though.
Sure, fire away.
Do you want to believe in a God?
If it's real, yeah, definitely.
It seems like your mind's closed off, though.
Well, the way I see it is that if we're requiring that the God be the God as described in, say, the Hebrew Bible or the Christian Bible or, the Mormon Bible, whatever it might be, those gods, at least if you read the books literally, those gods are definitely not true, definitely not real, because they describe things that are contradictory, that are mutually incoherent. And so that thing, I don't see, unless you can explain away these weird incoherencies, that seems pretty far-fetched to me. On the other hand, if you're trying to say that, oh, there is this God, but it's not the God of Scripture, the Scripture was the people's interpretation of God, and they just didn't understand him properly, well then, that is at least more plausible, and if that thing exists, I'd love to know about it.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. You... Give me a moment, I'm processing.
You're fine, take your time.
If there's a God, you want to know about them.
Yep.
Yes?
Yeah.
But you have questions that you have yet to find an answer to a satisfactory level, and one of them is words come to me. Nope, I lost the thought. Darn it.
You're fine. So
you want
yeah,
to
go
know
ahead.
why the Bible seems contradictory, right?
Yeah, or I mean, generally speaking, why most organized religions have doctrine that doesn't make any sense, whether it comes from a Bible or from church tradition or whatever it might be.
What seems stupid? Like, what seems contradictory? What seems...
Well, I mean, for example, we're supposed to believe that God is this all-loving being, this perfectly just, perfectly good being, and yet, like in the Hebrew scripture, in Samuel, for example, or 1 Samuel 15, he commands a genocide, and like, that's what you would expect would be written if these people were, one of many warring tribes that had their own ancient deity that they believed in. You would expect that they would say that, oh yeah, our God told us to do this. You wouldn't expect an all-loving, perfect being to do this. And so it just seems like it contradicts the view that this being is, perfectly loving, perfectly just, benevolent, and so on. So, I mean, that's one. I mean, there are places throughout where God changes his mind, but he's supposed to be changeless. So it just seems like the conception that people have of this being, it just doesn't line up with what's in the text. And if you just read the text as it is, then it just describes like an Iron Age storm god, basically, that got promoted to being the king.
Yeah, I can see why you would think that. Here, let me see if I can find an answer for that.
Okay.
My religion, Jehovah's Witnesses have made many websites that we use, and our branch has made a collection of things based off of the Bible to answer these questions. So let me see if I can find...
Sure, if you can come up with one, that'd be great.
Yeah.
But that should at least make you think, right?
Oh, yeah, no. I've had some of these same questions, like, why does suffering exist if he's all loving?
It's not even that. Why did he command genocide?
Oh, yeah, no, definitely.
Like, that's a pretty big indictment.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that is...
The chapter you're looking for is 1 Samuel 15.
1 Samuel 15?
Yeah, or, sorry, not 1 Samuel, it's Samuel 15. Book 1.
Perfect, thank you. Why do I make these things hard for myself sometimes, I swear?
Such as the
tabs
human
open.
nature, I guess, right? Oh, I have like 100 open, so,
Right? Ugh, it's endless. So, no, never mind, you probably wouldn't answer that. I was just about to ask you what made you decide to study physics, but...
Oh, because
that
black
might be a
holes are
personal
cool.
question.
No, black holes are just rad as hell. And
Oh, absolutely.
yeah, so it was just black holes. It was honestly just black holes. And I'm like, oh, black holes are cool. I'm going to do that forever. Find anything? Otherwise, I should probably move on to another guest because I have a finite time and lots of guests.
Still Oh, true. I'm sorry if I'm making this too long for you, but...
You're fine.
Yeah. Well, I don't think I'll be able to find an answer for that fast enough while you still have other guests.
Okay,
but
fair enough.
I can give you a few other things. I can give you a few other things that I have
Give me a few
learned
other
that I
things
have
and then we'll leave it
found
there.
made...
That fair?
Oh, yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, most people believe that we gain free will the moment Eve, ate the fruit, right? I've heard that a lot. But how could she have chosen to eat the fruit if she didn't have free will?
That's a good
We've always
question.
had free will.
That's a good question.
If we've always had free will, then yeah. I think that we've always have had free will, and that is why she chose that. So, yeah.
I mean, that's the
then
look. I
there's
think
the
that
stuff-
that's a requirement. I think that that's the right view to hold if you're going to believe that Eve chose anything at all.
Yeah.
All right, but I'm gonna let you go, Sierra. I am sorry to cut you
Yeah,
off,
no,
but we do.
no, that's fine. That's
I have so many more people to get to. Thanks for being here. She was nice. There were a lot of technical issues. But you know, you got to be nice to people who are nice. Otherwise, you just look like an asshole, right? All right, we have $5 from John Jackson. Y'all need to check out episode 343 of the Jordan Peterson podcast. It's crazy. I don't, and I probably won't, because why would I want to listen to Kermit the Frog? From John Jackson with the $2 again. Rafe Kelly is his name. My life was never the same. That sounds like we're about to like drop a fire mixtape. From The Nightman Cometh with the $10. Hi, Dr. Blitz. I know you're super busy, and I'm not sure if you read fiction much, but there's a fun science fiction book called The Bobaverse that you might enjoy. I don't read a lot of fiction. My brother does, and he has read The Bobaverse. He loves it, and he talks about it all the time. I just don't have a lot of time to read fiction, unfortunately, but I do appreciate the thought. All right, I'm gonna bring up another guest from YouTube. Let's bring up Mars Archer.
Thank you.
Hi, Mars. I know that you disconnected, but I know that you were at the top of the list. So, what you got for me? Are you, do you believe in God?
Yes and no. So I grew up with like religious trauma, so I really do believe in a higher power. But sometimes all the religious stuff is hard for me to sit through. I'm not gonna lie.
That's fair.
But yeah, basically, what I believe in is, and I haven't honestly really gotten super into it. I believe in like higher power. I kind of believe that all truths are true. And the reason for that is like when people have an NDE, so like probably all of these Christians in your, you know, in this chat, when they pass, they will have an experience that is related to like their beliefs. So a Christian experience.
Yeah, I agree.
The reason why I connect with paganism, I actually, when I was a kid, I was really into like, well, I didn't, my sisters, as she called it, like I would be like out there like making potions and stuff. I'd always been like very spiritual, but I didn't think that like I had really much of that Celtic ancestry, because most people when they think Celts, they think British Isles. But since I've realized that basically my whole ancestry is that like Celtic Druid stuff, like
So,
because it's
Mars, the question is why should I believe in it? Why should I believe? Like, if you want to believe this because, you know, you identify it with like, you know, your ancestry, or you think that it's like fulfilling, that's great. Why should I believe it?
Well, personally, I don't believe that it's like right to try to convince someone else. People in my life have started believing in a higher power, or at least that spiritual, opening their mind to spiritual experiences because of things that I've experienced. So I'm just saying that is my personal belief. I'm not saying that, like, for what I would say is, oh, also, sorry, ADHD brain, but
Sorry, I just accidentally invited somebody. I didn't mean to.
Okay.
That's my bad. Go ahead.
If I could ask you a physics question at the end, just because I am considering going to school for physics or nursing, that'd be cool, but no pressure. But yeah, are you muted right now?
Oh my God, I'm so dumb. Yeah, so better that you just DM me, because I can think about my answer more, and yeah, and I do answer DMs, so then you can ask more questions and stuff if you have them.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah. So it was funny. I was on. This is like so many people. Sorry, I'm a little bit nervous, but I was on one of these yesterday. I was realizing after the fact, because, you know, I was talking to the person about like synchronicities and just things that I've experienced. And his argument was like, well, if you basically, the thing where if you have a belief, then everything you're searching, the confirmation bias. But I was realizing after the fact, I was like, wait, then we both have confirmation biases, but he wasn't really addressing the fact that he had one. It was more just like on me for believing that. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I get it. But look, Mars, I do understand that you have beliefs, and feel free to DM me, but like, I'm looking for people to try to convince me of their beliefs, and it doesn't seem like you're interested, so I'm gonna let you go. And honestly, I should probably end the live here, because it's noon and I have work to do this afternoon, I'm also really hungry. Should I call it there, gentlemen, ladies, and be friends? All right, one more. We can do one more. All right, let's bring up one more. But it has to be quick. All right. I just have to pick the right person. John, I'm sorry, it's not going to be you. We talk all the time. All right, let's talk to Jesus Lover. Jesus Lover, 316. How's it going? Can you hear me? I can hear you, but nobody else can hear you because your microphone is horribly quiet.
Give me just a moment here, okay?
Sure thing.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Oh, that's so much better. That's so much better. Right. Right. Okay. So I can tell by your name that you believe in God.
Can you hear me now?
Specifically, I can. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me now, sir?
I can hear you. Yeah, but you're currently watching on YouTube, and there's a
Sir,
20-second
can you hear me
delay.
now?
There is a 20-second delay between YouTube and the
Can you hear me
live
now,
stream.
sir? Can you hear me? Hello? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right, how are you doing today, sir?
Nope. Not gonna. No, I just can't. Hieronymus, how's it going?
Hello.
Can you hear me all right?
I was just wanting to debate. Yeah, I can hear you.
Great. Your audio's terrible.
Yeah, some sort of echo.
Sorry?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, but the audio's really bad.
Okay, I just want to debate one thing. I just want to ask, as a physicist, you believe in causality, right?
Causality, in the sense that I think that I believe exists, is probably not the same sense that you believe exists.
Okay, so you don't believe God exists? Is that
I do not.
Okay, how would you explain how everything came to be? How the universe was created?
I don't think that there was. I don't think that there was ever nothing.
What do you believe?
I think that there was always something.
Then that there was always something. Why is it you believe that something isn't God?
Well, I think that something's the universe. Because we know the universe exists.
Because it started from somewhere.
I don't think it did. I don't think that the universe started.
What do you think how it came to be?
I think it's always been.
It's always been.
Yes.
So wouldn't that be assuming that time is always?
Not necessarily. It could have existed in a timeless state prior to time beginning.
My argument for why God exists is that God created the universe. For you and me to exist and be having this debate is because God had to create that. And for God to exist,
right, but I don't think that that is a compelling argument when the alternative is that the universe always existed.
The universe always existed. As a scientist, does that make sense to you?
Yeah, it's at least plausible.
Something always existed.
Yeah.
With no exception.
Yep.
And then when it comes to other things, you use science to debate other things.
Yep.
Okay, it's interesting. Then I think that no one will ever be able to convince you that God exists or not.
Okay. Well, thanks for being here.
Okay.
Yeah, that audio was really, really bad. All right, let me try bringing on Jesus Lover one more time. Jesus Lover, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can. Is there a delay?
There might be a slight delay. I apologize. How are you
it's
doing
fine.
today?
It's so much better than it was before. I'm doing all right. I can tell by your name that you are Christian. So what would be the most compelling argument you could offer me that God exists? Especially the Christian God.
Well, I have actually quite a few. Believe it or not, I've been a Christian now for over 20 years, and I've had a lot of time to think about this, to delve into it myself even. I guess my question to you, before I give you some of my pieces of evidence, my first question would be, if it turns out that God does exist, would you believe in him?
Would I believe that he exists if he does exist?
Like, if he does exist, would you believe that he does?
Yeah. Assuming somebody's given me a compelling reason to believe that he exists, then yeah, of course.
Ask that because that gives me an idea of the integrity of the person I'm talking with. So I like that. You have good integrity there, sir.
I appreciate that.
So I guess I guess my first thought would be, if for me, it kind of breaks down logically that I can give you reasons for why a God exists. And then once I give you those reasons, I can then break it down into, okay, why do I believe that it's necessarily the Christian God, not just some, random, other cultural God or anything like that. So I guess my overall general reasons, the first one would be the order and design of the cosmos. The fact that when you look into things such as Planck's constant, the gravitational constant, things of that nature, all atheist, non-atheist scientists, engineers will tell you that if these are off by even 1% of 1%, and some calculations even go less than that, the universe cannot exist in the state that it does right now.
Okay, do you want to talk about that one, or do you want to give more?
I mean, if you want, we can talk about that. I have a few more, but we can talk about that, sure.
Okay. So you say order and design, and then you kind of talk about the like the constants, like Planck's constant or like the gravitational constant. So when you say order and design, are you referring to like fine tuning?
Yes, correct, sir. And again, I should preface this by saying that these are pieces of evidence in life, at least the way that I live my life. I can prove nothing, but I can take evidence, and wherever the evidence leads.
That's fine. I understand. I'm the same way. I don't know where you heard that if the gravitational constant was off by like a fraction of a percent, that the universe, that life couldn't form. I mean, you could change the gravitational constant. This is big G that we're talking about. You could change the gravitational constant by like a few orders of magnitude and life would still exist, no problem.
No, this is just something that I'm not a scientist, I'm an engineer by trade, but from what I have read upon, as well as the formation of the Big Bang itself, during the initial universe formation, those constants were spat out. And if they were any different, then the way the universe formed to what we look at now would not be that way.
Well, the universe would be different if the universe were different, is what you're saying. But that doesn't mean that life's impossible.
It would be different. Well, it would correct. That's my point exactly. That if those constants were not, it's not just G itself. It's the 9, Planck's constant, gravitational constant, C, the speed of light. All of those, when combined and looked at the separate equations that govern the universe as we know it now, if they were off any of them, because they all relate to each other by 1% of 1%, and that is actually a died down number. I think it's like 10 to the 100th power. I don't have the exact number, but I do know 1% of 1% gets relatively close.
So the 10 to the 100th power thing is, I wouldn't use that anymore when you're in your apologetics, by the way, because that's like, anybody who knows physics will be like, yeah, no, it's just false. But anyway, the point is,
when you say anybody, who do you mean specifically, sir?
I mean, like anybody who has like a degree in physics, or like perhaps an advanced degree, I should say, knows that the 10 to the 120 factor, which is what you're referring to, that is the disagreement between the measured cosmological constant, or the measured dark energy density, and the expected, and essentially the Planck energy. Now, the trouble with this is that there's not really a reason to think that those two things should be the same, aside from it'd be nice if they were the same. And then people kind of ran with that and were like, well, it's so weird that they're not the same. They're off by 120 orders of magnitude, but there's no a priori reason to think that they should be the same. It's just. Furthermore, we actually now have good reason to think that the cosmological constant isn't constant. Furthermore, we have good reason to think that the dark energy density should be small. So it's like, it's like we have good reason to think that like all of this is with regards to the cosmological constant. That's where the 10 to the 120 power comes from. That's been dead in the water for a while now. People's just haven't updated
All I did say was that there's disagreement in the educational community, but disagreement doesn't necessarily mean dead in the water.
No, this isn't
that
disagreement.
Just means
If you ask physicists, they will tell you what I told you.
I ask you what source, sir?
Well, I have a PhD in physics.
Awesome. I trust you as a source, but also what are your corroborating sources?
So I can refer back to my own published paper on the matter. I can refer to Steve Carlip, who's like a paragon in quantum gravity. He's written a paper on this. I can refer you to the DESI collaboration, which recently put out data indicating that the cosmological constant is not constant. I can point you to the historical writings on that calculation that led to 120 orders of magnitude, leading and the description of what that calculation was, and you can see for yourself that that calculation has nothing to do with the cosmological constant, as it were. So, like it. I mean, what sources do you want?
Thank you for what do you call? Actually, all of those are great. Thank you, because that I like. As an apologist, I listen and I take in information, and I do go back and I recheck. So that's all I'm asking for as far as that. So that's great. Thank you. I guess because like I said, I have multiple pieces of argument. It's not just one. It's a combination, and this is just evidence. So fine tuning. And to summarize your point, you feel like it's dead in the water, but it does also sound like there are some other, which I've read both sides of it.
The cosmological constant. Yeah. The cosmological constant is a very specific fine-tuning argument that people bring, and that's where the 10 to the 120th power comes from. There are other fine-tuning arguments that don't rely on that one, that rely on others, but then the probability is much, 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 much bigger. The fact that people bring up this the 10 to the 120, that's the thing that's dead in the water. Now you could talk about like the ratio of the masses of the up quark to down quark and all of this, but sorry?
I hear what you're saying. Okay, gotcha. So no, you're good, man. So fine tuning, I guess, would be one of my arguments. I guess just me personally, like I said, I'm an engineer by trade, and I'm very well versed in the scientific method and how to do things. It's actually how I do my job on a daily basis. I guess I would say that along with the fine tuning argument, I would also say that just with physical observation, and again, I'm an engineer, so that's all I can speak on. I can't say that I'm a philosopher or theologian by any means. I can say that when I look at the world and observe, I always see order coming from order, not disorder, life coming from life, not non-life. Now, when I look at, and I could be wrong, I don't know your full opinion, but when I look at an atheist perspective on the universe, they want me to believe that life came from non-life. Well, great. That's a hypothesis, but
I'm confused.
my
You
current
think the same
observation
thing?
doesn't support that hypothesis.
You think the same thing?
Not really, no.
So when people say life comes from life,
I believe intelligent mind creates life. Yes.
Hold on. To be clear, when you say life, what do you mean?
When I say life, I mean like life in general, like living, breathing life, like not everything
does
God
breathe? Does God breathe?
Huh?
Does God breathe?
He doesn't have to.
Okay.
He doesn't have to.
So is God an example of life?
Yes, because he has a mind.
Sorry, that wasn't in your definition of what life is. So what do you mean by life?
You didn't ask me. I can give you my full definition because God, he exists outside of the universe.
Okay,
he is
please give me your definition of life.
I believe he is the uncaused cause.
Can you give me your definition of life?
I mean, I can try. You and I both know that question is one that can't be answered because nobody agrees on that. But essentially, when I say life, anything that is not inanimate matter.
So, like,
or energy.
Inanimate just begs the question. Like is a chemical reaction life?
No, that's not. No, but if you have a mind, if you're breathing,
that's not inanimate.
What do you mean?
I mean, chemical reactions are moving.
I said inanimate matter. So
chemical reactions
even though they're
would be animate, not inanimate.
But does a chemical reaction know it's reacting?
Does a bacteria know that it's bacteriaing? Just because something doesn't have a mind doesn't mean that it's not alive.
But it does know, like, for example, it does know it's eating. It does have processes where, it creates
bacteria
using its...
don't have knowledge. You there?
It's not.
Oh, he disconnected. All right, I think we're gonna end the live anyway.
Can you hear me?
Oh, I can hear you again.
Hello?
No, you're good. Welcome back.
Hello?
You're good.
Hello?
I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
All right, I'm not gonna do this again.
Hello, can you hear me?
All right, y'all, we're gonna end the live here. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you guys so much for watching, for listening, for supporting. If you want to get notifications about when I'm live next, you can either ring the bell on YouTube or you can go into the Discord channel, which I created for this purpose, which has links in the description on the YouTube channel or in the link tree on my bio. Now, just as an aside note, if you want to join via the link in my link tree in my bio, you have to copy and paste the link into a browser. It doesn't work when you click on it for whatever reason. Anyway, you guys should join the Discord server. That's where you'll get notifications about when I'm live, when I'm not live, where I'm going. You can ask me questions. You can ask other people questions. Great place to chat. Great place to talk about the live stream. I'll see you guys there. In the meantime, I'm going to go eat lunch and make myself some coffee. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you guys to the... Oh, I have super chats to read. I can't forget those. Super chats. Sorry. From Lou with the 5 Canuck bucks. Love catching your lives. Well, thank you so much, Lou, as always. Lou is a regular supporter, and we always stand Lou. And then from Discord and Rhyme, sorry, Lou with the 5 Australian bucks, not Canuck bucks. And then Discord and Rhyme with the 7 Canuck bucks. Oh, you don't believe in God? Explain literally everything to me right now. Checkmate, atheist. That's a fair point. You got me there. I believe in God now. Anyway, yeah, you guys heard the spiel about the Discord, so I will see you guys tomorrow morning around the same time.